Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Well. Just took your hat off. It was a good-looking hat.
Oh, yeah, I like this hat.
Yeah, why'd you take it off?
I don't know.
Put it back on.
My
I didn't
last-
mean to, peer pressure you.
No, my son bought me this hat. He doesn't buy me many things. So when he buys me something, I'm going to appreciate it.
Well, we have a guest in studio today, Michael Yeary, who made those shirts for us last week. Drove all the way in from DFW, right? Yeah, I don't know why. Could hang out with us. But he's here to watch the show. So we appreciate him hanging out with us. And we got the AP poll that dropped at the end of TexAgs Live yesterday. The Aggies in at number 8.
Number 8. Okay.
Agree, disagree, don't care.
Don't care. If I was going to, I would personally, and I know Lucci would probably cringe when I'm saying this, I would rather than be around 12 to 15.
I think he thought that would be fun.
A little stealth action, But I think they certainly could be as good or better than that.
Yeah.
If a couple of questions are answered in the right way.
Yeah.
In the O-line.
Well, the interesting part is you can say that line about several teams.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so CBS Sports came out with their underrated, overrated. A&M was in the overrated category.
Okay.
There were others that were on there. The team right above them.
Was it Blake Brockmeyer doing that one too?
Double check that for me, Carson. Look it up if you were listening. CBS Sports, underrated, overrated. It had Miami above us. Okay. And it says underrated numbers. Oh, sorry. The AP poll had Miami at number 7.
Right.
Which I think is fine. And it says underrated, and I'll give you a couple of things. Yes, the runner-up team lost quite a bit, especially quarterback Carson Beck, defensive end Ruben Bain, and went through some other names, right?
The 2 offensive tackles, the other defensive end.
It said, but with an extremely manageable schedule, the Hurricanes only have one top 25 team, number 4, Notre Dame. Miami should win the ACC and have a shot at clinching a top 4 seed in the first round bye in the college football playoff. Agree. But my but's not even about Miami. What is held against A&M?
They lost, 10 starters, and
I think I just read out that Miami lost some starters too. They lost their starting quarterback. Everybody just thinks automatically that Darian Massa is going to be.
Well, he was talking about whoever wrote this. I will say this: what you just read, they talked about their schedule.
Yeah,
and how does only have one top 25 team, Notre Dame, and the rest is very manageable because the ACC. Whereas A&M's schedule is
sure.
Pretty,
but if we're talking preseason top 25, then I would ask the writer, who is Crawford, probably
John Talty.
Oh, Talty, old Nebraska guy, right?
Yeah. I don't know if that's the same guy, but I don't know. Might be. That goes back to the old question. There's this, I don't know, call this debate. It's a question. It's a curiosity. When you're, as a voter, when you're putting your preseason top 25, are you voting based on what you think the teams are today in their strength, or are you projecting based on what they had, what their team is, plus what their schedule is, how they will finish?
Right.
Are you saying today this is the top 25, these are the best 25 teams, 1 through 25 today, or are you speculating based on their schedule and whatnot where they'll be top 25?
In an impossible science to figure out because every voter has their own criteria.
Right.
if you were voting on the AP Top 25, would you vote on today or what you think they'll be?
I would probably vote on what I think they are today.
Okay. So, like, personally, I don't know if A&M is the top 10 team right now. I don't, because I have the same questions you have, right? But I don't know if the other teams that have questions are either. So I would base it on momentum, coaching, where we are today.
I might go so far as to say, you know, A&M had, 10 players taking the NFL draft. And I might go so far as to say that Miami has more significant losses that they had to replace than A&M.
Well,
quarterback.
Yeah. Now, some would say they may have gotten an upgrade in Darian Mensah.
Some might say that.
Yeah. Oasis
and maybe they have. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But, you know, how many first-round picks did Miami lose?
2? Was it 2?
Was it 2? I know Bain was a first-round pick. I thought one of their offensive tackles was.
I thought so, too.
Xavier, they had 3?
They had 3 first-round picks.
Both defensive ends and the tackle.
Bain, Mesidor, and the one for the
Xavier.
Giants. Give me Francis Maui-Noah. That's who it is.
When it says A&M overrated, and by the way, I don't care. Like this is just conversation, right? Speaking of Miami, the team that beat on the road in the first round of last year's CFP. I don't like that first sentence. One spot behind at number 8, the Aggies had a dream 10-0 start to the season. Actually,
11-0.
Yeah, featuring a thrilling win over Notre Dame in South Carolina before it came crashing down at home losses to in-state rival Texas and Miami. A&M head coach Mike Elko had to replace
home losses.
Yeah, the story sucks.
So there's a guy that really, I mean,
a lot of research.
These are small details, but
mistake number 1, 10-0 start. It was 11-0.
It was 11-0.
Mistake number 2, at home losses to Texas.
One was at Texas.
Yeah. Anyway,
nice work there.
Salty's probably great. Salt of the earth. A&M head coach Mike Elko had to replace the offensive and defensive coordinators. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand that question. And a program best 10.
I wonder if he had to replace the defensive coordinator.
Right. Well, we know.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, who knows?
And besides, Elko's still around, so you could make an argument that they didn't replace the defensive coordinator because he's.
I thought I had the article here. Do you have it open, Carson?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you look at what they say about Oregon?
Give me 1 second.
Because, again,
them up.
I just asked for consistency, right? And I know that's hard for people. But, like, if you say, hey, I'm going to penalize you for this,
right,
then you should also penalize homeboy for that. Anywho.
Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Connie?
Miami had 9 players taken in the draft. 3 were in the first round, and 3 were in the third round.
Yep. So what do you have there, Carson Stein?
I don't have Oregon on this article that the one that you're talking about, but they do talk about teams like Texas, USC, Washington.
Texas was underrated on their list, right?
Yes, sir. Texas was underrated, and they were saying it was a bit surprising, frankly, to see Texas land at number 5 and not receive a single first place vote was the very first headline they had.
You know, my dad used to say everybody has elbows and eye holes or something like that. So opinions are like elbows and eye holes. Everybody has them.
So it also says in this
or something like that
article who from here could fall out of the top 25. Okay. And it doesn't necessarily say A&M. It actually says somebody else, but I'll read what it says. Number 8, Texas A&M and Ole Miss could be popular picks. The reasons for A&M are detailed above, while it's understandable to think Rebels could take a step back without Lane Kiffin. But I buy into the theory that number 10, Oklahoma, is a better candidate to finish unranked.
Oklahoma is projected to have a really good defense and
maybe a better offense.
And yeah, the offensive line is going to be better because it was terrible last year, but there were a lot of freshmen, and there's some credence to that. What I don't get is I'm all on board saying John Mateer is a good quarterback, a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But I'm pumping the brakes at how hyped he gets. Like, oh, look what he did at Washington State, BFD. I remember a couple of big fat deal. I remember a couple of years.
I was doing this math in my head, like, huh?
I remember a couple of years ago everybody, now I know that they weren't the Pac-12 anymore, but everybody in the Pac-12, every quarterback was putting up huge numbers because the defenses they played were so bad. So if you're a good quarterback playing Washington State's schedule, you're probably gonna put up some huge numbers. So what I saw from Mateer is a guy that can make plays, but is very inconsistent. Yeah, he had the thumb thing. I'm talking about even before that. He can make plays, but he's also very inconsistent. More inconsistent as a passer, I would say, than Marcel was, who got so much flack. Well, he's good. Sooner fans, I'm acknowledging he's a good quarterback. I'm just saying I don't seem to be as hyped up as they make him out to be. I guess their receivers are going to be better, but I'm going to have to ask why.
It's interesting that I sometimes take offense to what people say, even though sometimes I may agree with them. It's the weirdest thing, like being in my head. Like, I'm just not a normal human. Like, I think you have to be in the community to poke the holes at A&M that sometimes people poke the holes at. Like, I'm not saying I disagree with some of the things that people are saying. Mm-hmm. I just don't like to see it when I don't think I'm seeing it applied to others.
Right. I know what you mean.
Like
you don't like double standards.
Yeah, and I don't think people are doing it on purpose. Like, I don't. Some people probably are, but I don't think that Talty or whoever is like.
If you don't know that A&M won their first 11 games and that they lost on the road at Texas, if you don't know that, then there's probably a lot of things you don't know.
Yeah, if you don't know that. But there are things that I don't know. I don't know how this offensive line is going to come together.
I don't either.
I think there's a lot of talent there. I believe that Adam Cushing has done a good job at A&M, and his first offensive line was really good, and that was a new group, so he's doing it again. I think it'll be good. Do I think that the defensive line, it's a Mike Elko defensive line. Typically, Mike Elko defensive lines deliver.
Yeah, I'm not, maybe I'm dead wrong, but I'm not worried about the defensive line at all.
Secondary, they should be really good.
If Elko says it's the best one he's had here, he had one here, I think, with like 3 NFL players in it. Johnson and Richardson and Jones.
Yep. And then we've been told that David Olano's been kicking it, right?
Well, I'm telling you, I don't even have to see it.
It's going to be better.
They got to be better.
So
as a kicking game.
So there's reasons for optimism, but I understand the questions. But I think the questions should be asked of other teams too that are replacing 3 defensive line and players in the NFL draft for Miami, right? You said 3?
3 first-round picks.
Yes, 3 first-round picks, 3 third-round picks, and then they had some more 9 overall. And the guys they lost, man. If you think about like Keontae Scott, who was a 4th-round pick of the Bucks. You remember? He had the pick 6 against Ohio State. I mean, this was a big-time player for them. Carson Beck, their quarterback, both offensive tackles, both of their stud defensive ends, and C.J. Daniels, who's I think easily replaceable, but I think he was their number 2 receiver.
By the way, I've waited way too long to get into something. Not even the show. We're so behind. We're 13 minutes in. I had 2 other topics for us to get into, but we got on this tirade, and so I apologize. Quickly, we'll talk with Luke Evangelist later on in the program, but Texas transfer guard Jordan Pope coming to Texas A&M. That guy can hit some threes. He played pretty well against A&M.
Yes, he did.
But now it's time for, I didn't even tell you who it is. All right, but I think you'll like it. 25 and 25, presented by Paragon Financial Advisors, an Aggie-owned independent, fee-only fiduciary serving families and business owners nationwide. Visit paragon-adv.com. Number 9 is, with a Latin flair, Antosaka.
Hey, you know what? Let's fast forward like 4 months, and we're going to be saying, how do we only have him number 9? I kind of think that's going to be the issue. But, number 9 was the number worn by the premier pass rusher of Texas A&M last season, so maybe there's a little bit of karma going there or whatever. I think Antosaka is going to I think he's going to have a big year. I don't mean to be overly optimistic, but just, what I see Antosaka the other day when we saw him, and I'm thinking, you ever been to the horse races? They bring the horses by and they have all these people standing at the rail and they're like looking at the horse.
Yeah.
They're saying, he has good muscle structure or muscle tone and good bone structure. And look at the way he looks. And then they look at the horses too after the jockeys. No, really. But what I'm saying is they'll do that to give you an idea how you want to bet on them. So that's kind of the way I was looking at Antosaka. You know what? I might have to
bet on this
guy. Might have to bet on this guy, so I'm betting on him.
Well, he only had 3 sacks last year. I say only. He was the guy that the offenses, would attack. But he had 30 pressures. Okay.
Was it 30?
Yeah. Well, that's what I read online. I don't
know.
Yeah. So if he had 30 pressures, then fact check that. But that's what I read online today. He causes disruption left and right.
I'm hoping he does. 30 pressures. That's
maybe I read that wrong.
That's amazing.
Maybe I wrote it down wrong.
But
double check that.
You know, everybody has different ideas of what a pressure is. So what one guy might say is a pressure, another one might say it's not. According to college football stats, he had 2.
Okay, well that's wrong. 30 is completely wrong. I read the wrong stat.
Again, there are different definitions by different entities of what a pressure is. So,
but every highlight I've seen, and of course they're highlights, right? So they're is him causing disruption.
Absolutely. I saw the one we talked about yesterday where he hits the guy and just drives him into the quarterback.
Yeah.
And now he says he's bigger and faster and stronger.
And he chose A&M to get him to the next level.
Because A&M, number one, they're just turning out NFL defensive linemen.
Yeah.
On a pretty consistent basis. But number two, they're turning out pass rushing defensive players.
Yeah. And I think if Marco Jones lives up to what we think he can be, and maybe it takes this year, next year, but he's obviously on that path, and you've already got TJ Searcy. You've got others, right? You've got some options.
Is Anto Saka and Marco Jones going to be the new version of Roper and Wallace, the Blitz brothers?
Yeah, I don't know. So I found this. Texas A&M defender Anto Saka recorded 30 pressures.
That's what I want to believe.
But that's...
Again...
That's from, I guess, PFF grade?
Yeah, different PFF and somebody else will have different ideas or different definitions of what a pressure is.
Yeah.
He's wreaking havoc, like you said, left and right.
Yeah.
Maybe even center, too. I'm envisioning, I don't know if I said this yesterday, but I'm envisioning a obvious passing situation where you have Anto Saka and Marco Jones both on the field at the same time, with DJ Hicks and shifting TJ Searcy down to tackle for the rush. And then Elko comes up with I think we talked about this yet, and a safety gets the sack.
By the way, you probably know this.
What do I know?
This is TexAgs Live.
It's brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Holy
I knew that.
Yeah. Where are we?
We're in this is where you always throw.
I got you.
We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
This hour has a name.
It's the Go Hour.
Presented by the who?
The Warehouse at CC Creations.
And if you want to be a part of the conversation, there are 2 ways you can do it. If you want to call us.
That's the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline.
979-693-1150.
Indeed it is.
And then if you want to text us, we'll read that on the what?
The Catalyst Pure Performance Energy PPE text line.
If you go to drinkcatalyst.com and buy any 12-pack and get the second 12-pack free, just use the code TexAgs at checkout to get that offer.
And White Oak had to be 24 packs.
That's a lot of packs.
That's a lot of packs.
Let's go around the room. We go left, we go right, we go behind the glass. We say...
Like Anto Saka.
Yeah. And it's 30 pressures or 2. We say hi to Nick Savage.
There's 30 pressures with that guy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, so with the AP poll coming out, I always like to look at what teams have the most AP ranked teams on their schedule. 3 have 7. They're all in the SEC. Poor Arkansas and Kentucky draw 7 teams, as well as Texas, believe it or not. They have 7 ranked teams. 6 schools have 6 ranked opponents on their schedule. A&M falls into that list, along with Ole Miss, Ohio State, Mississippi State, Michigan, and Oklahoma. A bunch more have 5, and a bunch more have 4. The most teams ranked in when it comes to conferences, the SEC has 9 AP ranked teams. The Big Ten has 8. 3 ACC teams are ranked, and 4 Big 12 teams are ranked, along with Notre Dame, the one independent in that mix. So good spread there, and SEC's tough. AP poll voters think so as well.
Yeah, they think so, but OB, not one vote for an SEC team for number 1.
Okay. I mean, I get it. If I was on that, I'd put Ohio State number 1.
Yeah.
They've never asked me to vote, and I'm glad, because I don't want to take all that time. Because I can't be a guy that's just going to fill it out, send it in, And there've been people like that, and then they like left obvious teams off because they forget.
Because they're dumb.
I'm unfortunately when I do those things, I spend way too much time on them. So I'm glad they don't even ask me.
Yeah, like A&M losing 2 home games like that.
Yeah, like having to understand that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go check back in at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Carson Stein, provide us some value this morning, young man. How are you?
I'm good. I just kind of want to add it on to what you were just saying about no SEC teams getting a vote. It's the first time since 2015 that no SEC team has gotten a preseason number 1.
I would have thought earlier than that.
I wonder who won it in 2015. Was that a Clemson year?
I think so. Give me 1 second. I'll look that up for you. I also wanted to give you guys some of this. ESPN released their what's next for each top 25 team after the AP poll.
Ohio State
won.
Okay.
They gave one stat to know for each team, which for some reason is not really a stat. Number 8, A&M. They say the stat to know is that A&M closes the season hosting Texas, whom they haven't beaten since 2010. The Aggies suffered their
That's the dumbest right there. They haven't beaten since 2010. Well, as we all know, they didn't play for 14, that's such a dumb thing to write.
They're not wrong, but they're wrong.
It's just,
right.
they're not wrong, but it's just stupid. It doesn't.
They should put an asterisk.
It doesn't give the context. They've lost both times since they've joined the SEC.
Bam, that's exactly all you have to say.
Okay, go. I'm sorry, Carson.
That was really it. They were just saying how A&M hasn't beaten Texas since 2010. The Aggies suffered their first loss of the season last year in Austin, 27-17, after entering the game 11-0.
All right, I'm angry. Can you make me happy talking about food?
Well, if you're angry and you want to feel better, or even if you're sad and you want to feel better, even if you're feeling good, but you want to feel better, I would suggest if it's Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, having your lunch at 1775. It's not far. It's just like you're going to Snook, but you're really not. You're still. It's just a couple miles past the airport on the left.
Yeah.
And then you get there, and there's a lot of fun people to talk to and things like that. Everybody wants to talk about A&M or whatnot. One time I ran into a guy. He was a truck driver from New York, and he just heard about it. So he came by. It's 1775. Everybody there wanted to taste that succulent brisket, those amazing pork ribs, that incredible jalapeno cheese sausage. Some even went for that lighter fare turkey.
You are just anti-Turkite.
No, I like turkey. I do. And then some even. I personally am anti pulled pork, but the people that like it tell me they love it there. I'm very pro.
It's like a political commercial.
I'm very pro queso mac and cheese. Yeah. So
a vote for queso mac and cheese is a vote for America.
For America. Mac and cheese. You got the M there in America. A mac and cheese. Mac and cheese. Yeah. But anyway, even if you're feeling good and you want to feel better, 1775.
And if you want to feel worse, don't go.
That'll make you feel worse.
You'll feel worse.
Especially if somebody's eating it in front of you, like that time when we were eating it all in the press box.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like people around us like buzzards.
And you're like, dude, just have some. Like you let a guy we never met. I think his name was Bill.
And one guy sat down and ate with us, and he wasn't even invited.
No, he just sat down and started eating. Like, hey, thanks, man.
I mean, we didn't mind, but
I mind. But that wasn't mine. It was yours. Anyway, 32-minute live spot. That's what we do sometimes. You should advertise for TexAgs. 1775txbbq.com is the website. 979-492-6241. It's 1775, and
it's good.
Hey everyone, David Nuno here of TexAgs Live. I want to introduce you to the team at Holistic Planning. Got Jason Barber here, Taylor Pankratz, and also Paul Meredith. Jason, I want to start off with you. What really sets Holistic Planning apart from the others?
Yeah, so what makes us different is most financial advisors stop at investment management. On the other hand, Holistic Planning, we manage investments, taxes, and estate planning all on one team, all underneath one roof.
Now, Taylor, when everything is coordinated like that, it really helps the bottom line, doesn't it?
It really does. When your investments and taxes are working together, you stop leaving money on the table and keep more of what's yours.
Paul, Holistic Planning is trying to expand as well.
That's true. We just opened our Houston office, and we're looking for people who feel like their advisor isn't seeing the full picture, because that's exactly what we fix.
And Jason, there's other opportunities beyond that.
Definitely. If you're a financial advisor and you want to join the Holistic Planning team, we're looking to add 50 teams in the next 5 to 10 years. So check out holisticplanning.com/advisors.
All right, so if you want a team that actually coordinates everything, go to holisticplanning.com. Aggies, this one is worth it. Welcome back in. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Typically, we hang out over there in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone, where it actually is very cold. But right now, we're at the desk because it's time for the Knockout Performer of the Week, brought to you by TKO Equipment. Rent, sell, lease, or rent to buy TKO Equipment, which is your trusted source for used and heavy equipment. We have in studio Troy Smith, the president of TKO Equipment. What's up, man?
Howdy.
How are you?
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. We got some cool news to get into. You guys are helping support. But before we do that, talk to me about the Aggie family that you guys come from.
Yeah, I really appreciate, obviously, when we've done the post-game show and we've done this, you've done a great job of describing what we do. But I think for, obviously, yes, we sell and rent used heavy equipment. But I think more importantly for our family is we have 21 Aggie rings in the family. We've got 19 graduates in the Smith family, and we've got 2 that are coming up soon.
Okay.
So we're probably more proud of that we have an Aggie legacy. We have a running joke is, the Smith family an Aggie tradition, or is being an Aggie a tradition in our family? It kind of runs both ways.
So I assume your family's the same way. I have definitely brainwashed my children.
Yes.
But in a good way. Like I saved them from going, my wife went to Texas.
Yes.
She made the mistake, but she's more Aggie than she is Longhorn. And both of my boys are starting. They're actually moving into their dorm tomorrow.
Oh, very nice. Yep. It's this is the longest because we have two under 17 months. It's been a heck of an off season for me. But this is the first time I've been I haven't been to College Station since February. This is the longest I've gone without being here in a while.
Right.
And to come down here and see all the kids down here for school and everything, it just kind of blows my mind. It brings back a lot of memories.
So explain to the audience what you guys do. I know I tag it and I speak about it,
Right.
but in your words, what does TKO do?
Yeah, we sell and rent heavy construction equipment, mostly low-hour used Caterpillar equipment. We're also in the aggregate business, so rock crushers and screens. We're the screen machine dealer for the state of Texas. I'm very blessed that we have a name that pre-exists me. We're nearly 50 years old here in a couple of years, and obviously kind of founded on the same values as the Aggie core values. Integrity, things like that, and it's that's something that this place kind of molded. My dad and his brothers that were involved in it, and they kind of put those values into our company.
Yeah.
So we take a lot of pride in that.
Oh, but yeah, I think you're going to like this. Why don't you explain, Troy, what you guys are doing with the Knockout Performer of the Week?
Very, very excited. So we've really enjoyed, this segment, and we've really enjoyed giving a shout out every week to, an Aggie athlete, not just football, but all these sports. It's never been easier to be a fan of some of these non-football sports because you can stream every game.
Yeah.
I couldn't make it to College Station for a softball game or a baseball game this year, but I watched every game while I was taking care of my kids. You couldn't do that. So anyways, going forward, we're excited to announce that we're expanding the Performer of the Week. So the Performer of the Week is now, they're going to be nominees for the TKO Knockout Performer of the Month. And so for example, here in August, we'll be picking athletes, and then in September, we'll announce the Performer of the Month for August. And we will do an signed autograph giveaway with that athlete that
cool.
TKO will sponsor. So it's a bit of an NIL engagement.
Yeah.
So we're helping out in that way. But very excited for that. So I think that it would be a great place to start. A couple of names for August, I know. Trinity Buchanan.
Yeah.
She had 2 goals against Rice.
She had a brace, yeah.
And then Kaya Castle looked really good in volleyball's exhibition against Baylor.
Baylor, yeah.
So I think that those 2 young ladies could be the first nominees.
There we go.
So
all right.
yeah,
I'm kind of partial to the Buchanan.
There you go. I figured you might like that.
Yeah.
I figured you might like that.
Hey, OB, do you want to make a nominee this week? Because I got one for you. But I want to see what you.
Well, like I said, I'm partial to Tiffany Buchanan because she obviously comes from good stock. Besides that, though, I don't know who to give it to.
Let me give you one.
But whoever was hosted the kid from Detroit that just committed.
Yeah.
I don't know who hosted him or sold him around, but that guy deserves something.
Yeah. I was going to say for you, and this is Aggie related. I'm going to give a nomination to the Dallas Cowboys.
For Von Miller?
For getting Von Miller. They made the right move.
I'm not sure we can do something with the Cowboys and Von. But,
I
will try.
Just a conversation.
Yeah, no,
when you have this, when you have this event where with the monthly winner, and they're going to appear and sign, I guess. Where's this going to be? Is it going to be at a different place every month, or is it going to be at the same place?
No, so we've actually done a couple of these giveaways already. We did it with Isaiah Horton for, he was the spring game performer.
Okay.
He came in here and did it. So
Okay.
they'll come in here,
Right.
and then we'll announce it on the forums.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if they give us, all you have to do to enter is give us a Google review on either of our locations, like, comment the post, comment reviewed. And because for a smaller business like us, that's gold.
Yeah.
Well, it's not small. We're mid-sized. But it's gold for a business to have a good Google review. So if you could, if you, that's all it takes to enter. And then you have a chance to win a free signed, football or basketball or baseball, whatever you'd like.
Volleyball, whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever
absolutely.
it may be. Troy, we appreciate it, man. This is awesome. Appreciate
Thank you
your time.
guys. Thank you all so much for
What
having
if it's a swimmer?
Give him a pull.
Maybe a cap.
A swim cap.
That would work.
That's why he's a CEO.
Just
He
give him a
has
pull.
all the answers.
Just a whole install the pool.
Install the entire pool.
We'll work on
Oh, who won? Oh, David Nuno won. Oh, great. That's amazing.
You already got the pool.
I know. I want a 2-story pool. All right, way to break. If you want a 2-story pool, you should move to Milliken Reserve. They have a lot of space there. They want to build a healthy community around nature, so you can go swimming in your 2-story pool there. You can go there and you'll see 2,600 acres of open space, 30 miles of trails. They've got beautiful homes. They're committed to maintaining that natural habitat, and they have all the animals you can imagine, from the songbirds to the rabbits to the turtles to the white-tailed deer. When you go there, you're going to love it. You can go hiking there, biking, canoeing, kayaking. They've got the equestrian trails. They've got the evening yoga. It's an awesome place just to go and connect with your family. If that sounds like a place for you, check out the website, millikenreserve.com. That website again, millikenreserve.com. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Joined by our dear friend Charean Williams from Pro Football Talk. Of course, the Aggie Hall of Famer. What's going on, Charean? How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing today?
I'm good. Look, pretty soon it'll be Aggie football that we start talking about when we do these hits. But we're starting with the Cowboys because Von Miller to the Cowboys, you alluded to it several times.
Called
right?
it last week.
Yeah. How did it come together?
Yeah, it's a signing that needed to happen for both sides. Vaughn wanted to play at home. He still trains up here, lives up here. So it's good for him. His family finally doesn't have to travel to see him play home games, so that's exciting for him. And the Cowboys, in my mind, needed an edge rusher, and I think in their minds, too, they needed an edge rusher, and they may need more than even Von Miller can bring at 37, but it's a really good signing for them. He may end up like Jadeveon Clowney did last year as their leading sacker. He had 9 last year for the Cowboys. Jadeveon Clowney did. So, the Cowboys are 8.5, I think. The Cowboys need edge rushers after losing Micah Parsons. That's the one area of their defense that I'm not sure they're really good at right now. And as we've repeatedly said, if you can't get to the quarterback, you're not going to be very good. So, Vaughn had played all 17 games last season, played 37% of the snaps in those 17 games, had 9 sacks. That was his most since 2021. He could still get to the quarterback. But more than that, he's very good, as we know, in the meeting room, on the practice field. He's going to make those young pass rushers better. Really good signing for the Cowboys.
Who else they got?
Say it again.
Who else do they have? That Vaughn's going to be a mentor to, because
Malachi Lawrence is obviously their first round draft pick this year, who's got a false step, who needs some work. Last year, Donovan Ezaraku was their second round pick out of Boston College, led the nation in sacks. Think he will be very good, but he's not there yet. And even guys like Rashawn Gary can learn from a guy like Von Miller who's done it. And, Sam Williams, who's been in the league for, 5 years now, can use Von Miller. So I think all those guys will benefit from his presence, but especially those young guys that I mentioned, and Ezaraku and Malachi Lawrence. Lawrence is probably your first-round draft pick, second first-round draft pick, but he probably needs at least a year, maybe 2, to develop into the pass rusher they think he can become. I don't think he's going to be that this year. So Vaughn's going to help him get better, and I think that's key for the Cowboys, especially long term.
Charean, I know, I think you wrote about it, that the Cowboys might not be done, correct?
Yeah, Jerry said yesterday that they still have substantive talks and will have, and if they can get better, they're willing to give up draft picks to get better. So, I think Cowboys fans should be excited by that. If you think back to the 90s Super Bowls that the Cowboys won, they felt like in 92 they were one defensive player away, an edge rusher away. So they traded for Charles Haley, won the next 2 Super Bowls, didn't win in 94, come back in 95, and Jerry says, we're one player away again. And I think that's a cornerback. And I think that, Deion Sanders made a difference in that 1994 NFC Championship game. I'm going to go get Deion Sanders. He goes and gets Deion Sanders, and they win their 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years. So this is not unprecedented for him. It's just been a long time since he's felt like this and done something like this. So I don't think the Raiders will trade Max Crosby. I think he's back. I think he's there. If they do, I don't think it'll be anytime soon, but it is something to watch right around the trade deadline in early November, late October, early November. If the Raiders are tanking, and the Cowboys want to go off for 2 first-round draft picks, which is what I think it's going to take after that's what the Ravens gave them last year, then I think the Raiders would be open to that, and the Cowboys may end up with their edge rusher. That'll give them time to really see what they have in these young guys, in Von Miller and Rashawn Gary, if they can be good at getting to the quarterback.
But they're not one player away, are they? I mean, you think if they solve the pass rusher, you think this is a Super Bowl contender?
Maybe. Maybe. Now, the depth, you're going to have injuries. That's the problem. They're not real deep, especially in the offensive line. At quarterback, there's some veteran guys they're looking at bringing in at corner just to have some experience there depth-wise. If they stay healthy at corner, if they stay healthy in the offensive line, they'll be fine. If they don't, I think they're in trouble. I still, again, think they need a legitimate, scary pass rusher that they don't have. They traded that guy away last year, and I think you have to be able to have that guy on your defense who offensive coordinators are going to have to game plan against, and they don't have that. But I do think they're going to be good, Olin. I do think they're going to – their offense is so good if that defense can just do what the Panthers did from 2024 to 2025. 2024, the Panthers were the worst defense in the NFL. 2025, they ranked 15th. The Cowboys ranked 15th in total defense. As good as their offense is, I think they are a contender. I think they win the division. I think they're better than the Eagles. We don't know. I mean, nobody knows if they're going to be in the top 15. I think they will. I think their personnel is improved enough that they can get in the top 15 if they stay healthy. But it is still a question. But then here's the problem, though. The NFC is so deep. You think about the NFC North. You think about the NFC West. Maybe at least the two best, I was going to say three, but the 49ers have had some injuries. At least the two best teams probably in the NFC or in the West. So one of those teams, the Seahawks or the Rams, is going to end up as a wild card team. That's who you're going to be playing in the first round of the playoffs. So it's not going to be easy. And I don't think they're as good as some of those teams I mentioned. But I do think they've got a chance, yes.
Well, if Charean says it, I'm going to believe it.
Hey, Charean, before we let you go, I saw this and it caught my attention. Roger Goodell says, I have no doubt there would be an NFL team outside of the United States. Are we talking like Canada? Are we talking Mexico? Or are we talking Europe?
I think there's a chance. I think they would look at London probably first, would be the first team on the radar. Potentially Mexico City. I don't think they would go to Canada. I think it'd be either be Mexico City or so many fans there, or London. They developed a fan base there. I think it would be one of those two countries that they would end up going to. And I do think they'll end up doing that. Will it be in my lifetime? I don't know. I still think it's a ways away before we see that. It's going to be some time. But I do think they end up going internationally. I mean, that's the whole goal. That's why they're going to go to 18 games, so every team can play an away game or potentially a home game. They may be giving up a home game, but play a game somewhere else outside of the United States. They want 17 games outside the United States every single year, which is why they want to go to 18 games. They want to take this international, and that's what they're building towards. So I think they're building toward having a team somewhere else outside the United States. Again, I think it's probably London. Mexico City is probably the second choice.
Charean, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
The great Charean Williams here on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. Got a text from Jim in Cyprus.
Yeah.
That we're going to have Carson read. We're going to have you react.
Okay.
You're a reactor.
I've been known to react.
Yeah, it's not negative or it's not positive either. It's
whatever.
Semi mean, but semi nice. We're talking Rollo Insurance now. The difference is real. The phone number is 888-44 Rollo. When you need homeowners insurance, you need ranch insurance, you need car insurance, whatever kind of insurance you may need. I don't even know all the insurance possibilities. Let Rollo Insurance be the ones for you. They've got over 60 offices in Texas, but they're all over the United States. And they are just hometown guys, right? Jason Jackson, Keith Morgan, I said Keith already, but I'll say it twice. He's great. They're all over town. They're all about this community, and they'll make sure that they take care of you. So make sure you reach out to them when you have insurance questions. If you have a kid who's about to start driving, they're going to find you the best competitive rate. I'm telling you, because I did it with my boys a couple years back when they started driving. Remember, the number is 888-44 Rollo, or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs.
Hey guys, David Nuno here to talk about our new partners with EventPipe. They are a leader in hotel booking technology, and now they're giving you a chance to support Aggie student athletes every time that you travel. Thanks to their partnership with United and EventPipe, whether you're heading into a game, a business trip, or family vacation, every room that you book comes with cash back in the pockets of Aggie athletes. That's a wonderful deal. And with EventPipe, you'll get discounted hotel rates up to 20% lower than the major travel sites while enjoying a fast, easy booking process. They've even created Presto, EventPipe's quick launch booking solution. It lets organizations build branded hotel sites powered by live hotel inventory, making it simple to book the perfect stay. So next time you want to book a trip, do it the smart way with EventPipe and support Texas Aggies NIL through United. Visit their website, tau.eventpipe.com. Let's react, shall we?
Okay, what are we reacting to?
We're going to go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. All right, Mr. Stein, give us Jim and Cypress's thoughts.
Alrighty, so Jim and Cypress texted in saying, why are we talking about a pass rush?
Pause. Because Antosaka was 25 and 25. If you want me to talk about with Antosaka, how to cover a wide receiver, he would have to change positions. Continue.
Is the SEC now the new Big 12 throwing every down? ?
Yes.
I'm more concerned about the three under 200-pound cornerbacks and 2 linebackers that misfit versus 2 tight ends running us over.
Okay, well, as far as the he's concerned about the secondary, a couple of cornerbacks.
Yeah, I mean that's what he put.
Okay,
saying
A&M was third in the SEC in pass defense last year, and you've only lost one guy off that, and you brought in Ricky Gibson, who we'll see what he is, but I know Elko likes what he's seen and says he got the best secondary that he's had while at A&M, and not just as head coach, as defensive coordinator. So that's not why I'm worried about that. You had the SEC's Defensive Player of the Year last season, who led for a while, was leading the conference in sacks. He finished with like 10.5 or 11.5. That's probably one of the reasons that the pass defense was so good was because you have a good
pass
rush. Like Charean said about the NFL, you got to have a big time pass rusher. I think the same goes for college football, and A&M's looking for that next big time pass rusher. So that's why I'm talking about Antosaka, and obviously because I wanted to.
And at some point, when it's Marcel Reed
I'm probably going to talk about throwing the football, catching the football,
Maybe
turnovers,
maybe running the football.
running the football. I won't be talking about special teams. I just won't. As for your point on rushing, I agree. They need to be better stopping the big run. They were 7th in the SEC in rush defense last year, but it was mostly OB.
It's the big run.
It's the big runs. It wasn't, and those big runs count.
Yes,
obviously.
If you could take away those big runs, which you can, and change every 20-yard run, or not every one of them, but say half of them the 5-yard run or the 10-yard runs, and they probably go from 6th or 7th in the SEC in run defense to 5th.
Yeah. So I hope those answer Jim's questions, because he did, he asked the why. We gave him the why. I think we gave good counterpoints. And by the way, I agree with him, though. Like, I can't wait for football to talk about stuff that happens this year, because everything we're talking about what they need to fix was with different personnel.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, but sometimes the different personnel can make you better.
Yep.
If you were good at an area and you have new personnel, okay, let's see, which is why we have a question, and I'm excited about Anto Saka, because you were good at that area. If you weren't so good, and it's hard to find an area that A&M wasn't so good at, but, linebacker were good, but the misfits were a continual problem. Maybe with a Ray Coney and some new guys, Noah McHale, maybe the misfits won't be as big a problem.
I just had AI track. We said misfits 19 times last week, so I guess we did talk about it. Huh, interesting. Thanks, Obi.
Yep.
When we come back, Connor O'Gara breaking down the SEC next on TexAgs Live. Welcome back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Our dear friend, Connor O'Gara, the OG Kickoff, with Next Round Live, and of course, TexAgs contributor and a Heisman Trophy voter joining the program. Mr. O'Gara, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm thinking back to my time in which I was fortunate enough to see Alan Jackson live, Kearney, Nebraska. Shout out Kearney. Many Kearney residents, I'm sure, listening to this program. And it was wonderful. It was like a very last minute thing, the way that it worked out. And I got basically the front pit area to see Alan Jackson. And it was one of my favorite concerts I've ever been to.
Yeah, I love Alan Jackson. I wanted to start things off with, I got some A&M stuff to get into because I know you wrote about Marcel last week. I did want to start off with not a single first place vote for the SEC. Carson was telling us first time since 2015. Were you surprised by that?
A little bit. I thought Texas, I thought Texas was going to get a few. I thought Georgia could get a few as well. And I knew that the first place voting was going to be a bit all over the place. I mean, Indiana was third with I think they had 8 first place votes, and yet they were 6th in the AP poll. So, you knew that it was kind of going to feel a little bit scattered with that. And it's very different than 2015 when Ohio State was a unanimous preseason number 1, a team that didn't end up making the college football playoff just because it lost the wrong game to Michigan State. And I do think that it kind of speaks to what we've been saying throughout the offseason. Yeah, you've got 9 teams from the SEC in the top 25. You've got 7 teams from the SEC in the top 13. Yet not a single first place vote because everybody kind of feels like, well, the separation isn't really there. And when you've had the struggles that the SEC has had in the college football playoff these last couple of years, this is the byproduct of that. So it's surprising in a sense, just because I thought there'd at least be a few. I thought the Texas hype train would have garnered a few. I thought Georgia just defaulting to Kirby Smart would have probably worked for that. But instead, the SEC held out.
We've probably talked about this before, but what do you think? You've got friends who vote on this. Do you think most people are casting their vote what the team will eventually become or what the team is today? Because I just read an article from CBS Sports, and they had A&M as an overrated team, which they may be, they may not be. I think there's a lot of questions, but part of the reason was the changes at offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and the schedule. And the guys that they lost to the NFL draft. They've had Miami underrated at 7 because of all the, yes, they lost guys, but their schedule's easy. So that, to me, feels like it's more like projecting the end of the season as to the right now.
Okay, so it's funny you mentioned that. The guy who wrote that is Brett Crawford, one of my best friends in this business, just in life in general. And I love Brad. And Brad and I literally on my show on the OG Kickoff debated this 2 weeks ago. Brad and I have been arguing about this since 2015, ironically enough, when we both worked at Saturday Down South. And I hate that. It's the thing we disagree on the most. I think if you are factoring in future strength of schedule with a preseason ranking, you are doing this entirely wrong. That is a separate conversation. If you want to predict the college football playoff bracket, there is a place to do so. Doing that with preseason rankings doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, after week 1, then you're basing it on what you've actually seen. And then what are we doing? We're basing this on future wins, possibly? That doesn't make any sense to me. So I would tend to think that there is some subconscious strength of schedule that gets factored into it. I think teams like Penn State and Washington were overrated in the preseason poll because everybody looks at their path in the draw that they got in the Big Ten and they've gone, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. Where the irony is that I think Ohio State is the most difficult schedule in the country, but I have no problem with them being number 1. I had them number 3 when we did our 40 and 40 for the next round, and I think that's perfectly fine. I've told you before, and I'll say this again, I think A&M deserves to start off as a top 10 team like Oklahoma as well. Do I think Oklahoma and Texas A&M are going to get to the college football playoff with the schedule that they have? No, I don't, because I think their schedule is really, really difficult. And I don't know that there are a lot of teams in college football that would be able to get to the playoff. But starting off in the top 10, yes, because they have one of the top 10 rosters in the country and their coaches are very good and they have warranted that. A&M starting exactly where it finished at number 8 in the AP poll, to me, that makes a lot of sense. So if we're doing the overrated, underrated conversation with the Aggies, I would tend to say that they are properly rated, even though I do worry that their schedule will keep them out of the college football playoff.
I think that was a great answer, by the way. I love that answer because that's exactly how I feel. A follow-up to that, when I look at all these metrics and I look at what this team's going to do and what that team's going to do, I wish that voters
would use the same kind of thinking for everybody. So if you're going to hold against A&M, for instance, the coordinators being gone, hold that same thing for other teams. If you're going to hold against 10 NFL draft picks from A&M, Miami had 9, right? Like, hold that against. So, and I think it's hard to do that because in this era of college football, Connor, like, we don't know if the chemistry is going to be there because you're just throwing in players. I think you're the one who told me Ole Miss had the most turnover last year, and they were, in the semifinals and a chance to go to the championship game. So there's so many unknowns. I just want the same kind of grading scale for everybody.
It's hard to do that. It really is. Like, the Miami conversation is interesting because, yes, they lost so much talent to what was their best team in decades. They also still return, as A&M fans know, a 1-2 punch. And Mark Fletcher Jr. and Malachi Toney, that's as good as there is in the sport. Defensively speaking, yes, I question what it's going to look like a little bit post-Bain, post-Mesidor. And those guys, Keontae Scott, like A&M saw the impact of Keontae Scott in that game. They still retain their coordinator, though, and they still have an elite defensive line coach in Jason Taylor. Like, they bring in Damon Wilson II from Mizzou, who originally started at Georgia. Like, they have Justin Scott, next guy up. So, like, I can always kind of like talk my way around some of these things, and some of the reasons that we bring up skepticism for some teams doesn't surface in the way of others. For example, like Ohio State. If you're looking at this Ohio State team going, well, they're the most set it and forget it team in college football, I would say, well, I'm allowed to have skepticism about the Arthur Smith thing. I think we've had conversations about Arthur Smith in the past and wondering if he knows how to utilize all of his offensive playmakers, much like his time with the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm going, wait a minute. Yeah, you got Julian Sain and Jeremiah Smith, and everybody thinks Chris Henry Jr., the true freshman receiver, is the next great receiver at Ohio State. I'm here for all of that. But aren't we allowed to ask those questions? And just because the Matt Patricia thing worked out so well for Ohio State with his transition from the NFL to college doesn't necessarily mean that the same thing is going to happen with Arthur Smith. So it's difficult. You have to look at these things with nuance. Preseason rankings are more just conversation starters than anything else. Like, it's probably not worth getting truly mad at. But yeah, it's a difficult exercise, and anybody that thinks it's not, do it at home and find out for yourself.
Connor, let's talk about the Jaden Daniels shenanigans. Like, I have so many issues with it. I'd like to see both perspectives to have a better feel, but I just can't see the Daniels perspective.
I can't either. It's pretty misguided. And this is one of those things that I think if you are just dealing with these relationships over text messages or calls or emails or something like that, I could understand why maybe this sort of beef or miscommunication would take place. It's the type of thing, though, that if you're having these conversations in person and if you are actually considering legacy, it doesn't get to this point. And that's maybe the biggest issue that I have with it, is that it kind of just throws that out the window. College football in general is just really weird when it comes to retiring numbers. Like, what, 2 different guys are wearing number 2 this year at A&M? And last I checked, Johnny Manziel, pretty important legacy. Literally the stadium that A&M plays football in, you could credit in part to Johnny Manziel and the expansion efforts with Kyle Field. So, like, I just think that we tend to lose sight of this. And with the obviously, like, a lot's come out with the Jaden Daniels team, and I do say team because I don't think this decision is coming directly from him, and sort of saying, well, Brian Kelly told us this thing, and then they didn't deliver on that thing. It gets lost in translation sometimes, and I think feelings get hurt very easily when in reality, there probably just needs to be a bigger picture, deep breath of, is this worth potentially ruining a relationship over? It's not. It's really not. Yeah, you could say we should just retire all Heisman Trophy winners' jerseys, but in reality, there are a lot of other things that go into it. So yeah, I think it's a total misstep by the Daniels camp as a whole, and I think it's one of those things that can hurt your legacy at a place where, man, you walk on water in Baton Rouge when you win a Heisman Trophy.
I want to go back to the rankings for a second because there's something I didn't ask. Were you surprised Clemson was left out?
No. Chad Morris. Need I say more?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here? Like, the last time that Clemson was unranked in the preseason poll was also year 1 of Chad Morris as an offensive coordinator at Clemson. Dabo Swinney will tell you that's the answer to his problems. I will tell you that just allows me to ask more and more questions. Like, why Dabo Swinney continues to think his way is best when we have now half a decade's worth of evidence to suggest that it's not. But no, when you lose 6 games with a team that talented, a team that NFL front offices were like, yeah, we think a lot of you guys were misused. We don't really care. We're still going to take you really high in the NFL draft. That probably says something about the head coach and the direction of the program. So I wasn't necessarily surprised to see them come in unranked. Maybe if they had picked, I don't know, literally anybody besides Chad Morris to run their offense, they could have been a top 25 team.
Yeah, talking to Connor O'Gara. So Billy and I were talking about Florida State. What's going to happen with Florida State this year? Their schedule, Mike Norvell. I mean, it feels like anytime you are about to tap out on Norvell, he'll have like, okay, here's a really good season again. But I think those days are done, man.
I do too. I think they're cooked. The only thing I know that's going to happen with Florida State this year is that they're going to retire Sebastian Janikowski's number 38 in the Week 0 game against New Mexico State. Mark your calendars. Everybody's looking forward to that. No, I think this could be first coach fired type vibes with Norvell. And the issue is that for the success that Florida State has had as a whole, the program really doesn't have the deep pockets that one would think that they do. And so now paying this buyout upwards of $50 million, and then you factor in money for assistants and, you know, what player buyouts are going to look like in this era of the sport, that's something that needs to be factored in as well. They're not all of a sudden going to probably play the LSU card. The only way that they would play the LSU card with a potential replacement is something that my guy Matt Hayes has suggested, which is to get Charlie Weiss Jr. to be their head coach next year, which is something that could be possible. But if Mike Norvell is still the head coach at Florida State in 2027, I'd be stunned. I really would be. And, you know, last year, seeing the way that it played out, a team that was, I believe, top 30 in the country, both in total yards per play on offense and defense, and they're a 5-win team. That shows you that they had real issues at the head coaching position with decision-making late in games. There were disaster on special teams. Gus Malzahn basically just said, like, I'd rather retire than kind of being part of all the hot seat stuff and then maybe have to take over as interim coach. It's a messy situation. It doesn't look like they have a solution in sight. I would fully expect them to be on the head coaching market at some point in 2026.
What about Jimbo Fisher returning to Florida State?
Never rule out a reunion in this day and age in college football. Very much in vogue. Scott Frost, Rich Rodriguez. I want to talk about the coordinator level, Ed Ogeron, Zach Arnett at Mississippi State, the Brent Pry situation at Virginia Tech, if you really want to get weird. That situation is one of one. I would tend to think not. I would tend to think they don't necessarily want to go down that road. And with all the vacancies that were available this past season, the only way in which that could happen would be if Jimbo Fisher is like, I'll work for basically nothing. I've got the buyout money. I don't need the money. Just give me the opportunity and we'll make this work. I'll never say never. It's a greater than 0% chance of happening. You're right. And with the market, the way that Jimbo probably saw it last year, where I bet he assumed at some point, like one of these teams is going to come calling. Like he probably is realizing his value is not what he thought it was. Like I think he even thought he could be a candidate for the Florida job. Like I remember talking to EJ Manuel about that. He's like, yeah, Jimbo's kind of got his eye on the Florida job. I'm like, you know what Florida doesn't have its eye on is Jimbo Fisher. But we could discuss that at a different time. I would probably bet no, but in this day and age, I don't know. Everybody wants a little piece of nostalgia. That's what my entire social media algorithm tells me.
Connor, what about Bobby Petrino? Does he take over at North Carolina at some point this year?
Hell yes. I mean, come on. Yes. Yeah. Yes, he does. And I tend to think that one Robert Patrick Petrino once again took an offensive coordinator job, hoping to be an interim coach. And bless him for doing that. Bless him for doing that because we need more of that energy. That's kind of like the 2000s, maybe early 2010s energy that we had in college football. And Bobby Petrino brings that back. I can't wait for that Week 0 game against Dublin, against TCU. With all the mess that's been going on at North Carolina, like Bobby Petrino is the most stable thing about it right now. And that tells you everything you need to know. I am looking forward to seeing what his offense can do because his offense like had some legitimate moments. And even that defense last year, schematically, what UNC did wasn't terrible. They could actually stop the run pretty well. But yeah, I fully expect the Belichick thing to be done in year 2. And even though the buyout is like, actually the buyout's pretty favorable, Bobby Petrino is going to be their interim coach. Just that's one thing I would bet on.
I can see him like every year, like, all right, who's going to get fired? Let me see if I can go be their offensive coordinator. Jimbo Fisher, Sam Pittman, and Bill Belichick. It's been back to back to back.
Here's the thing. You got to win a game if you get that opportunity in Arkansas. And he couldn't win a game. There were so many Arkansas fans that when that happened and they went from Sam Pittman to Bobby Petrino, they're like, man, I want this to work.
Yeah.
This is unfinished business. Everybody remembers the way that it ended, the neck brace, all that stuff. And, man, we're going to go back to those days. And then they're like, wait a minute. He can't win a close game either. And we're still running into the same exact problems. And you know what? This is probably not something that we should sign up for again. Let's not do this. But who knows, man? Bobby Petrino getting a power conference head coaching job. Never rule it out in this day and age.
Connor, so I know we've talked about it. We probably talked about it last week, how people perceive Marcel Reed. You wrote about it, addressing the discourse surrounding Reed's preseason rankings. Maybe it's because we're Aggies and we see it from our perspective and not others, but it feels like Reed catches a lot of strays for being a Heisman contender for most of last season. Why do you think he is such a polarizing quarterback, at least in the social media space?
Because of the way he finished. I think because of the way he finished, he is held to a different sort of standard. And because there were so many people that looked at the front part of A&M's schedule and they said, well, no, this isn't real. This isn't real. And in reality, lighting up a Marcus Freeman coach defense in South Bend is real. Lighting up a Blake Baker coach defense in Baton Rouge is real. And I do think there are too many people that have looked at Marcel Reed's statistical profile and said, well, he has obvious weaknesses. We've talked about those before. He needs to get better in the intermediate range. You can't have the most turnover-worthy plays in the intermediate range among power conference quarterbacks and be considered one of the top 5 quarterbacks in all of college football. It's like he has more obvious, pronounced weaknesses than other guys. Is he still one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC? Yes. And it's interesting because I actually think media has kind of come to a consensus with Marcel, although I realize Josh Pate might have earned himself a phone call or two from one Billy Lucci. But I do think that media is kind of more so on the same page that, like, look, he's probably not one of the preseason All-SEC quarterbacks in a year in which the SEC returns a lot of experience at the position. 5 teams that had double-digit wins in the SEC last year return their starting quarterbacks, and A&M is one of them. So he wasn't necessarily going to get the benefit of the doubt in that sort of way. But is he one of the better quarterbacks in this conference? Absolutely. And there's still so many numbers that you can point to and still so much success. Like, he's the only SEC quarterback that you could say, hey, he started every single game for his team last year, and they had their best season of the 21st century, at least best regular season, I could say. So I would tend to push back on people that say, like, oh, he's trash. Like I see some of the comments and some of the people that don't actually have real opinions in college football that I don't really respect as much, who will come out and say things like that. And I tend to want to defend him more so. And then if people are telling me I'm crazy for only having me at number 6, I'd say, well, here are the weaknesses. And, like, he can still get better and work through those. But, yeah, nuance is often lacking when it comes to these preseason quarterback rankings.
Connor, I'll close it out with this. I have maintained that if Marcel lifts his floor, because it's his floor that people focus on, he's a different quarterback. I want you to talk about Marcel at his highest. And I know it wasn't all season long. I recognize that. But I feel like his highs are so high. What he did against Notre Dame, what he did in the second half of South Carolina, if he just raises his floor, what does that say about where Marcel Reed lands?
It tells me that he lands in the conversations that he was at last year. You know, we saw to that point, he was at his highs, and people will say, like, oh, well, you know what? They only beat Arkansas by a touchdown. Well, defense had a bad game. Like, defense had a really bad game. Marcel Reed did a lot of really good things in that game that if you weren't doing those things, they would have been able to survive, and it would have been an embarrassing loss. So, like, I tend to think that if he is able to elevate his floor, cuts down on the turnovers, we're not asking questions about Holman Wiggins as a first-time play caller. It feels like guys in the passing game are being maximized. Terry Bussey's having that breakout year that we talked about last week. And if these boxes are being checked, then, yeah, he's going to be firmly back in those conversations in mid-November, and then everybody will base their opinions on that Texas game. Like, that's how it's going to go. And I don't know if that's necessarily the most realistic thing with a first-time play caller. There could be some more downs. There could be some more moments in which we go, man, you can't make that throw. can't make that throw in that spot. And, they were in this spot late in the game and they had a chance to win and they just couldn't find a way to be able to get those plays down the stretch. And Marcel, to his credit, in the first part of the season, first 2.5 months of the season, checked those boxes and was really good in those key defining moments. So I think we could be having some really similar conversations. And I don't all of a sudden think that the way that he finished means that he's all of a sudden going to fall apart this season and be a non-factor. I fully expect A&M and Marcel Reed to very much be nationally relevant late into the season.
Connor, great stuff as always, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, man.
See ya. Connor O'Gara on the Puppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. I love talking to Connor. Chit-chat with him about football all day. We'll hit a break, come back, open segment. Then we'll get a South Carolina insider, JC Shurburtt, to talk all about the Gamecocks, because that game comes up all the time. Actually, the last 3 games do. When it comes to your money and your peace of mind, it starts with the right team, and hopefully that right team is Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors. They're an independent fiduciary firm serving clients all across Texas. No sales pitches, no commissions, just honest, trusted advice tailored to you. They have a team of 18 professionals. They have over 9 CFPs, a CFA, and a CPA, and their expertise runs deep. Make sure you check them out. It is Paragon Financial. Visit paragon-adv.com or give them a call. 979-693-3907 to schedule your free consultation today. Paragon Financial Advisors. Integrity, expertise, and trust. Paragon Financial Advisors.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza. And, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. So, all right, Nick. Oh, Cade, what happened? What happened? Did you fire Nick?
Something like that.
What
yeah.
happened?
He's doing some quick fixes, so
Oh,
I'm
my goodness.
stepping in for
Wow.
a brief moment.
Well, all right. I wanted, like, just for a moment, because something that Connor talked about was Bobby Petrino. Like, I don't want to. Bobby was very nice the few times that I got to talk to him, and I kind of am. What does Batman say? The hero lives long enough to become the villain. Whatever it is, you know. Like, I feel like Bobby's the reverse.
You die. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Petrino is now like the reverse. Like, he's the full circle.
Yeah, he has gone full circle.
Right? Like, everybody hated him. The little neck thing. What are they called?
Neck brace.
Neck brace. Yeah, I just learned English. ESL, as Bronny says. Anyway, neck brace. You know, people hated him, motorcycle guy, and then he kind of like has recreated his image, and then they didn't want him to win, then they did want him to win. Like, I think it's masterful if he actually is doing this. Looking at scenarios, I'm like, let's see. There's a chance, that offense isn't very good. I can make it pretty good, right? But not that great. He didn't do this. I'm just making a fake scenario. I'll make it good, but I won't make it so great that maybe they fire the dude, and then I'm the guy, and then the offense is great. Do you guys remember the year with Jimbo? And this is my interpretation of how it happened. Be one game, it felt like Bobby was calling the plays. And then there'd be another game like, wait, Jimbo's calling the plays again? Like, wait, what? We're doing that same play? That's what it felt like. I know that's not what happened. I'm doing this mythical world. But I think that is, like, brilliant. What is he, like 70? How old is Bobby Petrino? Look, he's not a young guy, right? The fact that he was able to, what are we doing? I see a little screen on the bottom. Sorry, I'm ignoring it, Nick. Sorry. I don't like ignoring things. Anyway.
Bobby Petrino is 65.
65. Okay, so he's a young man like Olin. He's got time.
Some could say.
Yeah, he's got time. But, like, to me, that would be a brilliant move to just kind of like, I think I can ease into this head coaching spot. Bill Belichick, a legend, but it's not working. I can go there, gets fired midseason. I become the interim head coach. We win a bunch of games with Miles O'Neill, and I get to keep the job. I think that'd be brilliant.
I think Bobby Petrino should, if they do end up firing Bill Belichick halfway through the year, I think he should try his hardest to obviously win. But like Connor O'Gara was saying, Florida State doesn't have the money. Bobby Petrino to
They're
Tallahassee.
not hiring. They're not, Bob. Oh, you're talking about Jimbo or Bobby?
Bobby, I'm talking about Bobby
They're not hiring
Petrino
him.
going to Tallahassee.
No, they're going to hire an up-and-coming guy, NorvellJr.com. Like, they're gonna get the next guy like that. They're not going to go after Jimbo. They're not going to go after Bobby Petrino. Bobby Petrino's and Jimbo Fisher's, and I like Jimbo. I know a lot of people are mad about that. I liked Jimbo. I wish it was better, trust me. But they have to go somewhere Big 12, ACC, but not Florida State ACC. I think somewhere not premier and win a little bit to get. Like, what did Dan Mullen go? He went to UNLV, right?
Yeah, he's at UNLV now.
Like, that's the move. And win at UNLV enough to, like, you matter, and then you have a choice. Hey, I can stay here and, like, kind of matter in this small little boat, right, or small little sea, or I can go to the big SEC. I think that's the move when you're trying to recreate your image, in my opinion. You have anything for us before we hit a break?
I just kind of wanted to get into this one topic I found. So The Athletic released their 2026 SEC final standing predictions, as well as 10 predictions for just the conference as a whole. They have Texas winning the conference with an 8-1 conference record and a 10-2 overall record.
Okay, I mean, that seems to be industry standard. What most people think that would mean that they beat Ohio. They would lose to Ohio State in an SEC game, hopefully the A&M game.
Yeah, they also have Georgia and Oklahoma also going 10-2 overall record and 7-2 in conference. They have Texas beating Georgia in the SEC title game.
Disagree, but whatever. It's just an opinion. And just get to the brass taxes. What do they say about A&M?
They have A&M going 8-4 8-4 overall and 5-4 in conference, behind teams like Ole Miss, Missouri, LSU, Florida, Alabama.
All right. So I heard Yuri. Like, let me ask everybody this, and I don't want you to answer out loud. I just want you to ask yourself: would you believe an 8-4 record? Don't answer. Would you believe it? Everybody's answering without me telling them not to answer. You wouldn't believe it. Okay? I'm not going to tell you what I believe then. I'm just going to keep it inside. But of course I can believe an 8-4 record. It's a very hard schedule. But there's always a but. Ask Sir Mix-a-Lot. But you've got Coach Elko, and that's the reason why I'm not going there. Because I do think the head man matters. That's why Kirby Smart gets the benefit of the doubt when they recreate a roster. That's why I think Lane Kiffin gets the benefit of the doubt. And he hasn't done what Kirby Smart's done. But I think when you start establishing a reputation of building programs and consistency, then you get the benefit of the doubt. What hurts A&M is our history over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Right? Not sustained success. So could I believe 8-4? Absolutely. I could believe 7-5. I don't want to. I could. I lean more towards 9-3 right now. You can change my mind in a positive way and a negative way the first month of the season.
Yeah.
All right, we'll hit a break. Come back, talk to JC Shurburtt about South Carolina. Right now, we're talking about heritage films when it comes to preserving your farm and your ranch's legacy. It's not about capturing pretty pictures and posting it on Facebook Memories or Instagram. It's about capturing the essence of your land and transferring those values to those who are going to inherit your land. And when I talk about a heritage film and getting these documentaries done, they're 2-hour documentaries that Chance does. These are like blueprints for the future of your family. They're also blueprints for what has happened, right? You want to transfer those values to the future. So if you want to tell your dad's story, your family business story, your family ranch story, whatever it may be, let Chance and his team come to your house, be an eye in the sky, and tell your 2-hour documentary. 8 to 10 weeks later, you're going to have this awesome doc that you're going to watch with your family, and you're going to love every moment of it, and then you're going to be able to pass it down generation after generation. Call Chance up, 713-893-8341. That is 713-893-8341, or go to yourheritagefilm.com. That is yourheritagefilm.com. Hey friends, David Nuno here with the crew from Southern Charm Hospitality that bring you 3 great restaurants. We've got Hunter Ham and Hayden Bayer with us. All right, guys, tell me who you are. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, so we're part of those 3 restaurants. It's Porter's Dining and Bar, Juanita's Tex-Mex Cantina, and Red's Ice House, all located inside of Century Square. I'm Hayden. I am the marketing manager for the 3 concepts.
And I'm Hunter Ham. I do a lot of the beverage program and admin stuff, the boring stuff.
So, Hunter, tell me a little bit more about Century Square.
Yeah, so on University, actually across from the University, it's a beautiful development. I think it's like your one-stop shop for dining, retail therapy, coffee, and walking around with the family. There's a green space in the middle. Our good friend, Maddie Poland, she runs the event and marketing for them, and she's amazing. They do movie nights out there. They do watch parties. They've done a marathon. It's actually a pretty big one once a year. Our restaurants hand out watermelon there. And obviously we're there, so we'd love you to visit, and she'd love you to check out the website, Century Square, to keep up with events.
And Hayden, you guys are super involved with the university at Texas A&M.
Yeah, so actually for the last several years, we have hosted a lot of the recruiting dinners. So for football, baseball, really all their sports at Juanita's and Porter's. And over the last year, we've really fostered a relationship specifically with Cowfield and Olson Field. We have, I think it's 5 booths now that we run even during the Spin and Bananas and the World Cup games. We've been there.
Good stuff, guys. Thank you very much. When you visit Century Square, make sure you visit Porter's Dining and Bar, Juanita's Tex-Mex Cantina, and Red's Ice House.
And we are back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. The last 3 years have been just incredible matchups between South Carolina and Texas A&M. I really enjoyed the last one personally, but I don't know if JC Shurburtt enjoyed it as much as I did from the Big Spur. He's joining us here on the Bumpy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. JC, what's up, man?
Great to be with a good bunch of Aggies. The games have been exciting, but always have had respect and admiration for the fan base out there. We both wear a variation of red. Both have rivals that are orange, and up until 2 years ago, both had rivals that played in inferior leagues. So, we can relate a little bit, right? So it's good to be with you, David.
Thanks. I appreciate you joining us here on the program. I just want to start things off with, why are things going to be different in 2026, if they're going to be different than they were in 2025?
Well, in Texas, the last name Briles, and that's synonymous with offense. And Shane Beamer really, I think if he had it to do over again, he would have made a different decision with the offensive coordinator last year. Now, by the time Carolina played A&M, Mike Shula was gone. That was his first game away. Mike Shula's a good man. He just didn't have it. Putting Lenore Sellers in sort of a pro-style system with a lot of reads and things like that. Just, he's a guy that probably just needs to learn that in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason rookie quarterbacks struggle in the NFL. I saw it with Caleb Williams with the Chicago Bears his first year. He just the mental processing that takes place at that level with those styles of offenses just did not work. They had all kinds of offensive line issues. It was a dumpster fire. And so I think sometimes, A&M fans can probably relate to it. I'll take you back. Mike Sherman went, 6-6 the last year in the Big 12. And then lo and behold, here comes, I call him Coach Handsome, Cliff Kingsbury and Kevin Sumlin, and they opened it up a little bit and played more like Texas schools used to play, wide open, and it was a good season. So that can change your trajectory. Oklahoma last year did not have a great offense, but had enough to get to the playoff, whereas before they were 6-7 teams. So that gives you hope, and South Carolina does have a lot of players coming back that are pretty good. They rebuilt the offensive line through the portal like a lot of teams did. They feel good about that. And, a lot of really good players on defense as well. The defenses just kind of keep chugging along. So because of the roster, because of kind of the new plan on offense, because you got a 3-year starter at quarterback, I think Carolina and A&M are the only two in the league that have that luxury with Reed and Sellers. So there's some hope. And this year the schedule doesn't hit you in the face right away. It's Kent, it's Towson, it's Mississippi State at home. Then you go over to Alabama. So it's a chance for a good start. So there's a lot of hope, skepticism at the same time, but hope that Carolina will be better this year.
JC, I find Shane Beamer, he's kind of an interesting case study because in the beginning people loved him. Oh, he's fresh, he's new, he's on TikTok, he's funny. And he had that great year a couple years ago. And then last year, I feel like he fell out of favor nationally and locally. What do you think his job status is? Like, does he have to win 8 games, 9 games? Does he have to, or is he fine outside of, as long as he makes a bowl game? What's his status, and how is he perceived in South Carolina?
In South Carolina, most South Carolina people are really pulling for Shane Beamer because he's kind of, South Carolina historically, when they've been up in just about every sport. Baseball's probably the exception with Ray Tanner. It's been somebody like Lou Holtz or Steve Spurrier or Frank McGuire back in the 70s for basketball, or a Frank Martin that's really done a lot of big things somewhere else. They come to South Carolina and they, raise the level of play for a while, then it doesn't happen. But Beamer, first-time head coach, he was there under Spurrier, but he's kind of the South Carolina coach. He embraces all the traditions. There's a reason South Carolina doesn't get destroyed in the portal like some schools with attrition and stuff, because he's got a really good culture. There's a lot of people pulling for him. That said, it is the 6th year, and you can't have 3 losing seasons and 4. This team with this roster, the amount of money they spent on it, which is not crazy. It's probably just like an Alabama or Georgia would spend. the recruiting they've done, the schedule this year. There's a lot of new and a lot of mystery on it. There's no reason why this team shouldn't win in the case that they have a losing season and things don't go their way. I mean, I think there's conversations that will be had. As far as a win total, so a lot depends on how it ends up playing out, So we'll see. But certainly, it's not a year where you can just go, oh, well, they had a couple of injuries and went 4-8 and let's just redo it. I think those redo seasons are out. I think this is the time to go have a good year.
Let's kind of look back at the last couple of A&M South Carolina matchups. I was there in Columbia in 24, and that seemed like a comedy of errors for A&M. Le'Veon gets hurt early on. They make the comeback, and then nothing goes right the rest of the game. Last season, nothing goes right in the beginning of the game for A&M. Everything goes right for South Carolina. Nicholas Harper's still running on that touchdown. Yeah. And then the second half, everything went right for A&M. So just kind of your read on these last couple of matchups.
It's been one where, South Carolina's played them pretty well. And interesting enough, now all those guys are gone, except one. Then he played last year. But, and one of them was at A&M. He's probably going to start at offensive guard, Trovon Ball. For some reason, South Carolina's offensive line, the entire 24 game, and then the first half of the game at College Station last year, decided to play football against a defensive line that has a ton of NFL players. Now, in 24, the pass rushing A&M got after Sellers. Sellers had some Houdini escapes. But Rocket Sanders ran through big holes the whole night. I don't know what it is about the Aggies, why that group of guys decided to play well through 6 quarters at least. And so that's been a big key in those two matchups. Coming in last year, I think a lot of the key with the first half was South Carolina had a new play caller. They got rid of, and they were a little bit different. You saw a Philly special type of pass to Lenore's. You saw some deep shots. You saw some bubble screens, and that just wasn't happening. So it's probably hard to scout. And then I don't think Marcel Reed. I think he had that bad half, and then had his best half. So it was a tale of two halves for him. And then another surprise was the South Carolina secondary, which had, shut down held Ty Simpson and Bama down better than just about anybody covering their receivers. They just couldn't seem to cover in the second half. It's been exciting because, I think with the Bonham Trophy, from a Carolina standpoint, they were kind of tired of just – they either got beat by a little or got beat by a lot. And since that 22 game, Carolina's won a couple out there and won a couple in Columbia. And then as far as the games in College Station, it's really been big quarters. If you remember in 23, Carolina played pretty well, ended up losing 30-17. But that second quarter, the Aggies hit some deep balls on them, and it just kind of fell apart. Even the 24 game, South Carolina played really well for 3 quarters, but that second quarter, if you remember, A&M responded. A&M actually in that game had a 3-point lead right before the half, and they came back. So it's been very interesting. A&M goes off the schedule next year for the first time since 2013, but it's going to be every other year. They've been really good games, and I think in November, coming over to Columbia, depending on where both teams are, who knows? It'll be another big one at Williams-Brice.
All right, talk to us about Trovon Ball. What do you think A&M's getting with Trovon Ball? Because we've heard nothing but great stuff from across the street.
He stepped in and started as a true freshman. They got him out of Atlanta in recruiting. They beat Arkansas on him. That's significant because Sam Pittman was the coach at Arkansas then. He's an offensive line guru, so they loved him as a high 3, low 4-star recruit. Started as a true freshman, played a lot in 24. And then last year, just like a lot of guys on that offensive line, he was inconsistent. Sometimes he would look like an All-American, sometimes he wouldn't. I think that's a coaching thing and a cohesiveness thing that was unique to South Carolina. I think Trovon Ball will be a consistent player at A&M. Sometimes you just go to a new place and, hey, Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, he's a different player at South Carolina than he was at A&M. That doesn't mean that A&M coaches worse than Carolina or anything like that, or vice versa. It's just sometimes guys get a new start. They're in a new system. They're with a new group of guys, and they kind of assimilate, especially on the offensive line where five have to play as one. I've got high hopes for him. I actually just kind of looking at him versus some of the other Aggie transfer offensive linemen. Of course, I'm more familiar with Ball, but familiar with all of them. He's one I don't really question as far as starting, because I know A&M's rebuilding their offensive line as well. I think everybody's going to be really happy with him and how he plays on the interior. When he gets going physically, he's tough. I mean, he's a big old guy, strong, plays with a little bit of an edge when he gets going. Sometimes, that doesn't always happen, but I think consistency is something that coaches can get out of players in college as they get older, a lot better than when they're young and kind of thrown to the fire.
JC, what's your perspective on A&M to close out? Do you think they're vulnerable because of all the losses and the changes at coordinators, or do you think Mike Elko has built something that should be sustainable?
Oh, I think Mike Elko is one of the best coaches in college football. I do. I think if I had a question looking at A&M this year, it does, and maybe it's because of South Carolina, and they made an internal promotion, a guy with an NFL background, and it kind of blew up on them in the interest of continuity. And this is more that I just always have loved what Colin Klein does. I thought when A&M hired Colin Klein, that was a big-time hire. I was like, that just makes total sense for Elko, who he is. Klein, that Kansas State system, that guy's really good. And Holman Wiggins is a guy I've been familiar with for a while. He was at Virginia Tech for a while when I actually helped start a Virginia Tech website for 24/7 Sports. And it's a first-time play caller. So sometimes that works out well, like in Clemson's case. Chad Morris leaves, goes to SMU. Tony Elliott gets promoted. The next year they win the national championship. In other cases, it doesn't. So that's something I'm just curious to see. I think they'll be fine. I think A&M's immensely talented yet again. I love the pieces they have. Obviously, the offensive line. Again, it's a one or the other thing. Sometimes teams can rebuild it through the portal. Great. Sometimes it doesn't work. So those would be my questions. But I think right now, having made the playoff, and kind of had that breakthrough year, A&M's going to be really good every single season, and I think Aggie fans should be very excited about that. And then hopefully when you get to that game in November against the zillion-dollar team up the road, things maybe go your way this time. They haven't been blowouts, but it's got to kind of stick in the crawl out there, not beating Texas. But this is certainly a team that I think is one of the top. I would pick them top 4 or 5 in the SEC, just from where I stand.
JC, really enjoyed it, man. Thanks for your time. I know you're about to start your show. Let's do it again when we get closer to the game.
Hey, thanks, David. Appreciate all you guys out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. JC Shurburtt there, the Big Spur on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. We're going to, chit-chat. I saw a little tweet that caught my attention. Whether you're starting out or just building your future for decades, the right bank makes all the difference. And in Bryan College Station, there's a place to go. That's called Guarantee Bank and Trust. They've been around for over 100 years, since 1913. They've helped generations of Texans buy homes, start businesses, achieve financial goals that at one time felt like it was out of reach. And it's not an automated system. We're talking about people right here in town who take care of it. They are a community bank. Brandon Sears leads the charge here in Bryan College Station. They have 3 great locations in Aggieland, but they're all over Texas. You've got 33 locations across the great state. And so this is what banking's supposed to feel like. You want it to feel like you're going to a community bank, and that's what they are: personal, invested, and local. Take the first step and visit gnty.com. That is gnty.com. It is Guarantee Bank and Trust, a division of Glacier Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal, or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. 0 sugar, I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going? You use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart?
packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst. All right, we are back. It is TexAgs Live. We are still presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are still in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and over there is still the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. I like to make money. Anyway, Carson Stein, help TexAgs make some money. Tell us what's happening on TexAgs today.
So on TexAgs today, we have practice coverage today, including sights and sounds, photo gallery, and some snippets. We have the press conference sponsored by Rebecca Creek. We have a volleyball preview series coming out later today. A women's soccer advance sponsored by Double Dave's. Recruiting long forms sponsored by Frog Slayer. And I know that David, I'm a big recruiting guy. If you're a big recruiting guy or you like recruiting, tune in, get on those recruiting long forms, become a premium subscriber. And then also we have Texas Aggies United with softball KK Dement and Texas A&M offensive tackle Wilcom Formby.
Yeah, we'll have Wilcom here a little bit later on today. Good stuff. So I'm just going to read this. So I think Kristen Nashville sent this in. Where am I most correct? Bud Elliott. Look, I'm okay with people having questions with A&M because I have questions too. Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody recognizes that. I have questions too. What I don't like is when you have a reputation. Okay, a reputation of always going after A&M. Right? That's when I think it like he says here. What is he saying? Can this quarterback win a national championship? No, Marcel Reed. I don't believe you can win a national championship with this guy at QB. Okay. All right. But you can win it with, what was his name at Will Howard a couple years ago? All right, man, fine. So you mean to tell me if you put Marcel Reed on Indiana last year, they don't win a national championship? I don't know if he wins the Heisman, but I'm just saying, he lost the last 2 games of the year. I know that sucks and all, but I feel like Bud just every opportunity he has, he comes after A&M. Anyway, we'll be back. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 3 of the program, and Luke Evangelist. And I'm going to give you credit and also make fun of you at the same time.
Okay, you like to do that.
Well, here's your credit. You are a happy dude. You are just smiling. You talk basketball, you come in, but you're so freaking loud. And Billy's usually the one who complains about loudness. But I heard you in that area over there. Not the lobby, what do you call it, the fishbowl?
Yeah.
And you were so loud. And you said there's a reason for it. But then Kay was even louder than you. And yesterday was the first time I found out that Kay can be loud. I didn't know. Billy's like, oh yeah, Kay gets really loud. She was so loud.
Yeah, I just have to raise the volume of every room that I'm in, raise the excitement level. I walked in and it was just kind of vibes were down. And I had to remind people, like, why are the vibes down, right? Bucky just got Jordan Pope. There's a lot of excitement. Aggie volleyball starts this week. Aggie soccer's getting going. Football's about to start.
He's talking with a smile. This
why
is
are
amazing.
Why are we down? This is the best time of the year, and it's made even better by what Bucky McMillan is doing in August.
All right. All right. So let's talk about Pope.
Yeah.
How this all. Okay. So am I understanding his story correctly? He entered the portal as a maybe because he thought maybe the 5-5 might.
Correct.
Okay. So kind of take me through it.
I mean, this thing is like everything here is so complicated. It's hard to explain. I'm going to forget details, but we can talk how Jordan Pope came about, and then we can get into more logistics of this entire situation that's going on.
Okay.
But Jordan Pope, obviously, he went to Texas for 2 years. A&M wanted him 2 years ago, didn't get him. He sees this 5-5 kind of coming down the track, as a lot of these other guys did, enters himself into a California age-based lawsuit to say, hey, I want to get an extra year. Then this July 31st preliminary injunction comes along in Colorado that says, hey, all fifth years are eligible. The NCAA is currently pushing back on that, but that means that Jordan Pope is eligible for now. So when that injunction came about, Jordan Pope was like, hey, I'm going to be able to play college basketball next year. I need to find another school. Texas had already filled up their roster, so it was A&M, Auburn, LSU, Gonzaga was involved as well, that had an open roster spot and wanted Jordan Pope. And ultimately what it came down to, this staff has a lot of complicated situations going on, right? There's Bryson Warren's eligibility. There's potential players they want to bring back. There's other 5-5 players they're navigating. And all of them have little...
The season's about to start, right?
Yeah. They have to be enrolled in classes within the next 6 days. Okay. This is why it's crazy.
I've seen you on your laptop, and I was like, is he on Shopify or whatever?
Yeah. You need to get on my off-season basketball thread, because I'm typing law essays by the hour as things change. But the reason why they honed in on Jordan Pope, from Pope's perspective, he knows Frank Haith, he knows Darby Rich. They recruited him to Texas the first time. He played with Jamie Vinson. There's a lot of comfortability on his side to come to A&M. Remove the logos, remove the rivalry. It's coaches and players he knows, in a very quick turnaround when he has to find a new school. From an A&M side, they're comfortable with Jordan Pope because they know the kind of player he is. They trust Frank Haith's opinion. They know what kind of player they're going to get. And also, they, for this final roster spot, needed a player that has the clearest path to playing next year. So this is when we'll get into the complicatedness of this entire situation.
I'm already confused.
Okay, you need to read my thread. There is this blanket waiver. I read it. Thank you. There's a blanket waiver right now for the Colorado preliminary injunction that says all these fifth years are eligible for now. The NCAA is pushing back
for now,
but they are eligible at this very moment.
So does that mean? I'm sorry, I'm interrupting, but that means it could change tomorrow.
It could change in 5 minutes.
But do they expect it to change?
We're about to get a ruling, so this is more. We're getting deeper in the weeds now. We're going. Let me hit on Pope first, and then we'll get there. The reason Pope is ahead of those players covered in the blanket injunction, like Ryland Griffin, or I guess name any other random player in college basketball. There's about 100 players that had the foresight to say, "Hey, I'm going to go enter myself in a state case for an age-based lawsuit against the NCAA." You've heard about the California cases. There's one in Ohio that just got appealed. Jakari Lane got his in Georgia. There's cases popping up everywhere. Jordan Pope is a step ahead because he is named in this California case, which could come at any moment. And so that protects him regardless of what happens in this Colorado case. So that's why this staff feels comfortable with targeting him as the player they want for this one open roster spot, because he has the most, I guess, chances to get a 5th year of eligibility. Because let's say the NCAA wins in this Colorado blanket preliminary injunction.
There's a different case in California.
Correct. Pope, with lawyers who have a track record of
winning,
taking the NCAA to the woodshed, he can get a temporary restraining order and be completely safe. And so him, Donovan Dent, there's Donovan Atwell, who you just saw return to Texas Tech. All these guys are saying, hey, I'm in a state case. I feel a lot better about this blanket waiver, about my case, than a blanket waiver passing. I'm a step ahead, which is why you saw them take Jordan Pope right now, because we are probably about to get a ruling in this Colorado case, but Pope is ahead, being in this California case as well. So players in Georgia have already won their state case. There's a Texas case that's already won, but Pope's case in California is still pending. But they're feeling it out, and they feel like, given how these other state cases have gone, he should win there, which would make him able to play for A&M no matter what happens in this Colorado case. Are you ready for the Colorado case now?
Yeah, yes. I feel like you should have a pen and write this, but go ahead.
I feel like I should have gone to law school after everything.
You're the Ross Dellinger of basketball
I feel like we need to get Mitt Winter in here and really break it
Winter,
down.
Ross Dellinger, like the legal reporters.
Yes, so here's what's going on in the Colorado case. This is like the end-all, be-all, essentially, for all these 5th years that are not in a state case already. So Rylan Griffin, if you're keeping track of, you want Rylan Griffin back, well, it's all going to depend on what happens in this Colorado case. If this Colorado case goes the way of the 5th years. So let me go back to July 31st. Oh my gosh. I know it's complicated. I know it's hard to explain in verbal form.
Don't you think we need like a little whiteboard and you could be writing?
I do. I think I need to just kind of pin things and track things. So going back to July 31st, Judge Sweeney in Colorado granted this preliminary injunction saying every 5th year, come here, come wide, all of y'all, you get a blanket waiver, you get a preliminary injunction, all of you can play. Yes, it was like an episode of Oprah. Then the NCAA was like, whoa, that's too much. You can't give that out. You have to clarify it. So Judge Sweeney clarified it and just said, okay, no transfer rules, no roster limit rules, no rev share rules for these players, but they get a 5th year of eligibility, which is why it's so important that Pope already entered the portal, because there's a world where he loses in California but wins in Colorado, but he wouldn't be covered by portal rules, but he already has it on his own. Okay. So that's a side.
Satisfied that one. Okay.
Yes, you satisfied that. So the NCAA asked her to clarify it. She did. Now the NCAA filed an emergency motion to appeal it. And here's how the appealing process works. They're in the 10th Circuit right now. Judge Sweeney filed the papers. The NCAA filed their papers on Sunday. So any moment from Sunday night to now, all the way until next week, we could have a ruling on how this appeal is going. So the NCAA wants a stay. They're filing for a stay, which is the interim decision while the appeal process finishes up, which could take months. So the stay decision could be different from the ultimate final appeal decision, but what ultimately matters right now is this stay decision, which could come out 5 minutes in 5 hours. Nobody knows. It's like they're deliberating it right now. So the language that we need to watch for is, I'm getting like lightheaded just talking about all this stuff.
This is
crazy.
This is a good hit, though. I like it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So what the 5th years want, what Jordan Pope, what Rylan Griffin, what all these players want is for the stay to be denied. So if the stay is denied, that means in the interim, the preliminary injunction is on. Every 5th year everywhere, boom, you've got another year of eligibility. You can enroll in classes before the Monday or Wednesday, whatever your school's deadline is to get enrolled, which is really what the most important deadline here is, because
6 days.
Yes, if you do not enroll in classes, you can't play. So everywhere across the country, these guys are racing to get enrolled in classes. So if the stay is denied, good. You can get enrolled. Football, volleyball, soccer, you're definitely going to be able to play. Basketball, all these winter sports, you'll probably be able to play, because as we know from Rashawn Agee, these court cases take a lot of time, and the interim decision is immediate, and it's going to carry the precedent until this final decision comes months down the line. So if the stay is granted, this Colorado preliminary injunction is off. You can't enroll in classes, you're not eligible, and you're essentially screwed unless you're in a state case already, which is why they feel good about Jordan Pope, because he's already in a state case that's been going on.
Enrolled.
What do you mean enrolled?
Is he also enrolled at A&M yet? Or
He can't yet
Okay,
until this process finishes up. So,
and we think it'll happen in the next day or two. Or a couple
yes,
days.
it could happen in a couple hours. It's immediate. It's imminent. So what we are rooting for from an A&M perspective, from a student athlete perspective, if you are one of those fifth-year players, is for the stay to be denied, because then it's on. It's open season. You have another year of eligibility. You can return to your school, which most players will. From a college basketball perspective, any guy that's really an elite player that didn't go to the NBA or didn't already sign a G League contract is in one of these state cases to try and get the transfer rules so they can move schools and go to the highest bidder, find their best situation. But this blanket injunction is for like all these other schools, really. And for a player like Rylan Griffin, who's not in a state case, they're really impacted by this because this is their end-all be-all. They need this to go their way to enroll in classes by the next week deadline for school A or B. And until they get that, they can't play at another school. So we are watching this entire situation unfold by the hour on our off-season thread. And things change by the hour from a courtroom perspective, from an A&M perspective, because while the roster is complete, that doesn't mean we're done monitoring the situation. You can kind of read the tea leaves on, if this player doesn't get eligibility, here's where this staff would go to replace that player. But can they even replace that player with this player? Because they don't know if that player will be eligible, because it all comes down to this Colorado case. So all that to say, this is by far the most complicated situation you're going to find in college athletics. And while it doesn't directly impact A&M football or any of the other sports, I don't think baseball is impacted by this. This has a major impact on A&M basketball. Like, their roster could look completely different based on what happens here, based on what happens with Bryson Warren's eligibility. So it is just a complete, I feel flustered covering it on the outside. I can't imagine how this staff feels on the inside, having to weigh every single option. You don't even know if Jordan Pope will be eligible. You feel like he will be, but you don't really know until that court case comes down. So they're having to make all these decisions on hypotheticals, on gut feelings, on, hey, the NCAA lost here, but they won there. What do we think will happen here? It's a crapshoot, but all I know is that this staff is prepared. They left a roster spot open for a reason back in April, and they are going to be covered regardless of what happens here.
I credit the staff also for hey, if this doesn't work, this might work. There's a lot of different scenarios there. I want to talk about Pope the player, but before we do that, Bryson Warren. That's a whole other complicated mess, right?
Yeah, we just spent all that time talking about 5 and 5. The G League eligibility is a whole nother thing. So I will start by saying this. Jordan Pope and Bryson Warren are very similar players. It doesn't take a genius to notice that. So you would say, hey, is Pope Bryson Warren's replacement? That's not how this works. Their eligibility statuses are independent of each other, while their game may be similar. And if Bryson Warren doesn't end up on the roster, Pope is a nice replacement for him. You can't think of it that way because they're completely independent. Their statuses on this roster are independent of each other. So there is a world where
they both could play.
Yes, there is a world where Bryson Warren and Jordan Pope are on this team together next year. So Pope's deal is 5 and 5. We covered that. Bryson Warren's is a completely separate deal because his is trying to get college eligibility, having never been to college, went to the G League, signed an Exhibit 10 contract, and now is coming to college. The cliff notes of his situation are, 4 months ago, we felt great about him getting eligibility because there was a status quo. There was a precedent set with 3 other G League players having already gone the exact same route as him. They're 21 or 20 years old. They never went to college. They signed an Exhibit 10. They came to college for the first time from the G League and were granted eligibility. So you look at that, and A&M can say, hey, we feel great about Bryson Warren being eligible for us because it's already happened before. There's precedent. In the months since then, the feeling about his case has completely changed. Because the NCAA is coming down harder on these Exhibit 10 contracts, it is now a conflict of, will that precedent of what worked before prevail, Or will this new, stronger language of them trying to keep players that signed Exhibit 10 contracts in the G League out of college basketball ultimately prevail? So another team that this really impacts is Providence. They have Dink Pate, who was Bryson Warren's teammate, supposed to be one of the best players in the Big East next year. Neither Dink Pate or Bryson Warren have received word on their eligibility from the NCAA, which we know they take a long time, but it's peculiar because this already has precedent. Like, this should already have been ruled on, and this staff and people across the country are starting to question if maybe that precedent isn't going to hold, and the NCAA is taking longer because they're actually going to deny these players eligibility, and they're trying to find the quickest and easiest way to do that, and that's why it's taking so long, because they're trying to keep these Exhibit 10 contracts out. So, all that to say, there's still a world where Bryson Warren could get his eligibility from the NCAA. I'm leaning right now towards they're going to deny him, and A&M would have to fight that in court. Here's where this gets even more complicated. A&M can fight that in court, but that's going to take time, that's going to take money, and they can't do that until Bryson Warren gets a decision from the NCAA. Well, what if they don't give him a decision until October 12th, and the season starts in 3 weeks? That puts A&M in a really tough position because they have to have this roster filled, and he's a really key player for them. So even though the Bryson Warren situation may not be solved until months down the line, they've got to make a decision within the next 10 days, within the next week, of do we want to continue with Bryson Warren's push for eligibility? Will we even have an answer on Bryson Warren's eligibility in the next 8 to 10 days?
And if you don't have an answer, then he can't play, or he can.
That's the thing. You may not have an answer now, but you could have an answer past this enrolling class's deadline. And that's why, like, 5-5 is complicated, but Bryson Warren's situation is even more complicated because you may ultimately end up having eligibility for him, but you may not get that answer until January. It's just completely.
So, and then, okay, that makes, yeah.
So that now you look at it
and if you
from
get
an
it
A&M,
in January, you can enroll for the spring semester.
right, and he'd be able to play in SEC play. So it's like, it's very complicated. All options are on the table. All I can say right now is the staff has a lot to weigh. Clearly, from a 5-5 perspective, from a Bryson Warren perspective, there are a lot of options to weigh. There's situations to evaluate, and they are currently evaluating all of them. And all I can say is within the next week, it'll be clear which route they're going to take. Are they going to stick with Bryson Warren? Are they going to shift their focus and try and go after another 5-5 player? Will that 5-5 player even be available by then? There's a lot of deadlines. There's a lot of situations. It's complicated. I feel like I'm a crazy person trying to explain it all. But what you need to know right now is this staff is prepared. They're weighing options, and every option is still on the table at this very moment.
All right. So we've gone 18 minutes,
Yes.
all legal mumbo jumbo.
Yes.
Let's, for a minute or two or a couple minutes, talk about scenarios in from a basketball perspective.
Yes.
All right. So it looks like you have 3-4 scenarios out there. They're all eligible. Okay. What does that look like for A&M on the floor as a team? They're both not eligible. What does that look like for A&M on the floor? Everybody's eligible, Oprah style. Like, so kind of talk me through these players, what they'll mean to the team, if they're both there, if one is there, and maybe end with what you think is going to happen.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Jordan Pope as a player is phenomenal. He's a gamer. He high percentage three-point shooter, played on a broken foot in the NCAA tournament. That should tell you all you need to know about him. He cares. He wants to win. He does the right things. And he, if ruled eligible, which the staff wouldn't have taken his commitment and signed him if they didn't feel like that was where this was heading, he will help this team win next year. And the backcourt is already really deep and really talented, but, A&M wants all the guards. They want to hoard guard talent, and this system works when you can just roll wave after wave after wave. And Jordan Pope is a proven SEC starter that is a real difference maker and would really contribute to this team's not only overall guard talent and the ceiling of that backcourt, but just the depth in general. I mean, if Nico Mundy is the 7th most talented player in this backcourt, that's the best backcourt A&M's ever had from top to bottom. Like, he is a legitimate player that would contribute on this team if he was the 4th most talented player. But you just keep adding guards to that room, and it's only good things. It's only a positive for this team because now Bucky has more options than he's ever had. So there's so many different scenarios, but I don't have time to run through all of them from an on-the-floor perspective, but the all-encompassing answer is this team is going to be set. If they get none of these players eligible, they're still 10 deep and really deep in the backcourt, and they're going to be fine. But if you get those players eligible, it goes from a, hey, this is an NCAA tournament team to, hey, this is a top 25 team that not just maybe you hope makes the second weekend, but it's look at the resources, look at the money, look at the talent we have. You should make the second weekend. So right now, the floor is not really being affected by these situations and everything that's unfolding. It's the ceiling. It's we have the best backcourt in the country. We could have the deepest backcourt in the country. We could be a top 25 team. We could be a second weekend team. Like, it is elevating the ceiling of this team, not necessarily affecting the floor. I think A&M's going to be just fine, whether they have Bryson Warren, whether they have Jordan Pope. But you add those two players or another fifth-year player in the mix, and we're talking about a top 5 team in the SEC, a top 25 team all year. Really exciting year for Bucky McMillan. It's already going to be, but this is like, wow, this could be one of the best rosters A&M's ever had if everything breaks their way.
If you were to go to Vegas and bet, you would bet one of these guys will be eligible?
Yes, at least one.
Okay. Potentially two.
Potentially two.
More than likely one.
More than likely.
It's impossible to tell, right? Like, that's the...
Yeah, look, nobody truly knows, but just my feeling of how these cases are going, they're going to win in court somewhere. The NCAA is not going 3-0. Maybe famous last words, let me knock on wood. The NCAA is not winning every court case. Like, that has never happened in the history. It didn't happen last year with Rashawn Agee. It sure as heck is not happening this year when they're having to put out fires on 25 different court cases. It's not going to be a clean sweep. You just hope that A&M, it breaks A&M's way on at least one of those court cases. They're not asking for a miracle. Just win in court against the NCAA as these court cases have been doing. That's the precedent. The NCAA doesn't win these court cases more often than not.
I hope you don't end up on awful announcing. I hope you're right. And by the way, great reporting.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great job. Bit of break. We'll come back. Open segment followed by our interview with DJ Hicks that I did just a couple days ago. I think you'll really appreciate that one. A moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Your trade-ins got value at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're ready to put that equity to work for you. They have a pre-owned inventory that does move fast. That means they're always looking for quality vehicles to add to their lot. They bring in what you've got and let their experienced sales team tell you what it's worth. They have decades of combined experience, and they know how to structure a deal that makes sense for you. And don't forget, every purchase does come with that free oil change for life as long as you own that vehicle. No games, no gimmicks, just honest deals from people that care and are a part of this community. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm here to tell you about Fratella Italian Cafe. If anyone knows anything about Italian food, it's me, Billy Lucci. And Fratella has the best Italian food in BCS. Located at 3901 South Texas Avenue, Fratella is known for their handmade pasta dishes and feature lasagna, beef cannelloni, chicken parmesan, chicken fettuccine alfredo, a couple of my favorites, just a big old bowl of plain old spaghetti and some manicotti. Really recommend the manicotti. That's my go-to. And don't walk out of there without trying the fresh, piping hot breadsticks and the homemade in-house cheesecake, which is incredible. It's great for dining in, catering, gift cards, and even shipping, which they do nationwide. Fratella's is Aggie-owned and operated, and it's an official restaurant partner of Texas A&M Athletics. I'll see you there.
We are back. It is TexAgs Live, and probably the worst thing that could have happened. Luke was so good in that segment. He was great. Like, I'll give him credit. That the YouTube comments are like, dude, that was awesome. That was amazing, bro. They talk like that. And then Luke's going to read that. He already did, by the way. And now, like, you know, this confidence that this young man has, which he should have it, but, like, he's going to let everybody know. Like, he is grinning ear to ear from, see, I am Adam Schefter. I am Adrian Wojnarowski. I am Shams something. Sharanya. I am Billy Lucci. That's what he thinks. Young man, you got some time, okay? But great job. What do you have for us there, Carson Stein, at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center?
So first, I want to read one of the YouTube chats from earlier that I kind of wanted to get into. Didn't have time. Hayden King said all the talking heads last year's preseason were guessing we would win 7 to 8 games because of the schedule, facing 3 to 4 Heisman hopefuls, and then by the end of the year, it was an easy schedule.
Yep. Nobody knows. Nobody knows Jack.
Yeah.
Jack. Right? And I don't say that to like, look, it is our job. I'm part of the nobody knows, okay? It is our job to know. I don't know. Because it is impossible to predict what different ingredients are going to look like in something you haven't seen together. You have an idea, and that's why the broken record that is David Nuno is like, if you believe in the head coach's philosophy and what they've done, right, then you think it's going to work out. Like, Coach Elko so far has done really good hiring coaches, right? People thought the Colin Klein hire was great. Jay Bateman, they liked it. Everything, right? Coach Moffitt, they liked it.
I can't think of one coach that we've had questions.
So why would we think he wouldn't do good again? There was something in Coach Wiggins and Coach Hemphill that he said, these are the guys, right? So there's that. Coach Cushing, the offensive line coach, has already recreated an offensive line when he first got here. They did pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so boom. Coach Elko is the one that believed in Marcel Reed enough to start the Florida game, right? And part of it was because he had to, because Connor, and then also made the switch in the LSU game for Marcel. So all I'm saying is the evidence points in a direction that they'll be better than everybody thinks. So far, the 2 years, the 8-5 year, which sucked the end, I know, was still better than I think most people thought until the end. And last season, I wasn't predicting 11-0. Like, last year, I think I was just like I am this year, 8-4, 9-3, because I had conditioned myself to think that, right? The 9th SEC game is the other thing that I think we're going to have a hard time figuring out what it means for everybody. That's why I have said on this show many times, I think there will be a 9-3 team in the SEC championship game. Might be wrong.
It could very well happen.
If Texas loses to Ohio State, and, you know, they lose a couple of SEC games, but, you know, they go 7-2 in the SEC and they have a tiebreaker versus another team, or I don't think Georgia's going to lose 3 games. You know, could A&M get in? They almost got in as a 9-3 team 2 years ago. You know, 2 years ago, had they either won the Auburn game, the South Carolina game, or the Texas game, they would have been a 9-3 team, just one of those games, and they would have gone to the SEC championship game. So I think it's going to happen. And now with the 9th game, it may happen this year. All right, let's hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Live, DJ Hicks. We'll chit-chat with DJ. I interviewed him on Sunday afternoon. Had a great conversation. I think you're going to learn a lot about it when we come back. Right now, summer's here, which means Aggies are traveling and fun things are happening around the Aggie network. Are you going somewhere fun this summer? If so, the Association of Former Students, by the way, your summer's ending, but if that's the case, we would love to hear from you and share your adventures for potential use in an upcoming feature. Snap a photo of your Aggie ring in a fun way. Give a gig 'em or wave your A&M flag wherever you go. Tag it at Aggie Network on social media and use the hashtag Aggies Everywhere. or email your pictures to social@aggienetwork.com. One final piece of summer advice from the association: if you're going to go by a lake or an ocean, don't forget to keep your Aggie ring secure. Summertime usually means an increased report of lost Aggie rings, so be sure to take precautions when traveling with your Aggie ring. Have fun this summer. Don't forget to share your adventures with the association by targeting @Aggie Network on social media using the hashtag Aggies Everywhere, or emailing your pictures to social@aggienetwork.com. It is the Association of Former Students. So I've really enjoyed watching DJ Hicks' growth over the last couple of years, just on the field and also just his maturity off the field. From he's become just an awesome guy to talk to, get a really good perspective about A&M's defense, the defensive line. I think you'll enjoy this interview that I did with DJ Hicks. Hey friends, and welcome into The Huddle, brought to you by TexAgs and United. Our guest is our good friend, DJ Hicks. What's up, DJ?
What's up, man?
So, what are we, like 10 days into camp roughly? 11, almost 2 weeks?
Yeah, yes, sir. Roughly like 2 weeks into camp. Yeah.
So how does it feel?
Good. It's good. I feel like the team is very talented. You know, we got a lot of great guys, you know, a lot of great talent all the way around the field. It feels good. It's fun out there. So.
Yeah. Where do you think you are personally for it being a couple weeks in and just like, can you gauge anything yet? Like, can you tell certain strengths, weaknesses, where areas you've grown?
Oh yeah, yes sir, yes sir. I feel more explosive. I feel faster than I did. There's obviously little things, a lot of things I gotta fix, you know, and get better at my technique before the first game. You know, that's just part of camp. But I do feel a lot more explosive though.
So every time, you know, Billy was on the show on Friday talking about NFL scouts, talking about you, like you've got this huge potential. You strike me as a person that doesn't read into what people say. You just kind of put your head down when you were playing, when you're not playing. You're just going to do the work.
Yeah, yes sir, yes sir. I try not to get involved in the NFL because I'm not there yet. I'm just taking it one day at a time. If I take care of tomorrow, then all that stuff will come with time. So that's how I always think about it.
I look at it the same way that, like, if you have the season that I think you're going to have, then as this university has proven time after time, like you're going to be a very coveted draft pick.
Yeah, yes sir, yes sir. Especially in that D-line room, we've had so many great guys, you know, go first, second, third round. So I feel like I could do it if I just got to put my mind to it. So that's all it is.
I know we've talked about it, but like I'm fascinated by you because in this era of a guy with your skills that were there from your freshman year, you could have gone elsewhere many times because, oh man, you know, we got this guy here, we got that guy here. Like and you haven't done that.
Yeah.
You've kind of waited, and I'm assuming part of it, the way you were raised, other part, how much you love this university, and also I think Coach Elko's transparency with you.
Yes,
Can you take me through that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, my biggest things were for me staying is that one, I really love Texas A&M. I remember growing up, I didn't really like Texas A&M much. And then when I got here, I was like, dang, like this is different, and I never really wanted to leave. So that was a big part of it. And then being coached by Coach Tony, and him always in my corner and always talking to me, and it's never been how come I'm not playing or something like that. It's always been like, what can I do to get better, you know?
Right.
And also sitting behind so many good guys, which I knew I was going to do when I came here in the first place, and seeing how good, like how they played and how they went about their business. I feel like those are the things I needed to learn to actually like become what I wanted to get closer to becoming what I want to become.
And those vets poured into you, right?
Oh,
like they helped you know, like, hey man, you're close.
Yeah, yes sir. Yeah, like Rodas Johnson, I used to talk to him all the time. Tyler O'Yedim used to talk to him all the time. Smart Turner, Albert Regis, the list goes on. You know, McKinley Jackson. Ever since my freshman year, like all those older dudes, they've always like talked to me, told me what I need to fix, give me little nitbits here and there that I've just added to my game over time. So it's only made me a better player.
Have you done the same for the younger guys?
Oh yeah, yes sir. I try to. Anytime I feel like they can fix something, I'll go out there, I tell them, or if it's like even a little like small, minute detail that they just need to add to the game, I'll tell them, you know, because that's the same thing that my older vets did for me.
Right.
So I feel like I got to pay it back, pay it forward at least to the younger guys.
That's so have you figured out what kind of leader you are? Because I mean, you're in a different role, not only on the field, but like in your place with the team.
Yeah, yes sir. I feel like I haven't really figured out my leadership role. I try to go out there every day and just put my head down and work as hard as possible. And when I feel like things need to be said or I feel like the team needs to go a little harder, I'll say something. But I've never really been a very vocal guy. I'm very quiet, like all the time. So I just feel like I just go out there and just do all the right things. And then if people want to follow me, then they do. If not, you know, it's okay.
Well, I think people do follow leaders like yourself who do it like by example.
Yeah.
I don't know you that well, but you strike me. Do you remember Andre Johnson?
Oh yeah, yes, sir. Yeah.
So I covered Dre for many years, and Dre was kind of soft-spoken like you, but when he spoke, there was wisdom to his words. Like, and people like, you know, he didn't say a lot, but when he said something, not only to the media but to his teammates, like I think they felt it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's kind of your style, I assume.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I feel like my teammates do tell me that sometimes, that like when I do speak, like people will listen to me. But yeah, I think that's the way I just try to lead that way.
All right, so I'm going to take a departure from football for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot in common.
Yeah,
We're both MMA fighters. I'm kidding. We're not MMA fighters, but you. So you spent some time boxing.
Yeah,
Was it
yes,
this
sir.
summer?
Yes, sir. This summer, I've been doing it probably the past 2-3 years. I've been trying to at least get a couple boxing sessions.
Yeah?
Yeah, just to train my hands, really train my mind and my body and stuff like that.
And when you go, they work on several things. Like they worked with wrestling. With
Oh
you
yeah,
too, right?
yes sir, yes sir. Yeah, we worked at wrestling at Wendy's actually.
Yeah.
We just wrestling. Me and 2 of my teammates was just over there having fun, teaching us takedowns, and I could add all that stuff to my game of football, like how to tackle somebody is just like a takedown kind of stuff.
So were you a natural boxer when you started?
No.
Were you awkward?
Yeah, I was awkward.
I'm still awkward.
I had a mean right hand though.
Yeah?
I got a mean right hand. I got a mean right, but the jab with my left is a little shaky, but hit you with a mean cross. So.
But I would assume someone with your athletic ability, you probably had the good footwork.
Oh yeah, yes sir, yes sir. The footwork never really came too hard for me. It's just throwing that jab with my left. I was struggling a little bit. Yeah. So.
Do you attribute any of that to why you're maybe a little bit more explosive this year?
Yes, sir. I feel like going to Wendy has helped me a lot, especially with my conditioning and with my hand fighting, you know, because that's what we really go in there and do is work on hand fighting. You know, we don't really do a lot of like physical training, just going in there trying to get in shape and get my hands right and my hand speed good.
So let's talk about this D-line room and then the defense overall. Well, so we talked. I wanted to talk to you about that. You know, I lit up when you told me that. Can you tell? I mean, I know you won't be able to tell completely until the season starts and you guys have real opponents. But can you tell where this defense is compared to maybe last year and the year before? Like, are you guys close? Are you ahead of schedule, behind schedule, about where you need to be? What do you think?
I think we're getting to where we need to be. You know, there's always going to be things that you need to fix before week 1, and even in the season, there's going to be things that we have to fix throughout the season. But it's a lot of loaded, talented guys in the defense. You have a really good linebacker room, really good corner room, really good D-line. You got a really good safety. So it's like so much talent around the field that I feel like the defense is going to be really special this year. We just got to put it all together all the time. Just be consistent.
So do you think the ability to get after the quarterback is going to be like it's been in the last few years?
Yes, sir. You got really good rushers. You got Anto Saka, you got Marco Jones, you got Sam and Pimba, then you got TJ Searcy, you have Angelo McCollum, CJ Mims. The list just goes on. Like, everybody can play. Like, if anybody comes out the game, you know the dudes behind them can come in the game and still make a very big impact in the game. So I feel like it's going to be very relentless this year for sure.
You mentioned a lot of people, but you didn't mention yourself. Like, I mean, I've seen you go through the middle.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Me too. But I just really just see how good that my teammates really are, and as well as myself. And I just really sometimes sit in my room. I'm like, dang, we can be something special up front. We just got to put it all together.
So do you think, I know it's been an emphasis, but do you think the work has been done and the work will continue to be done to stop those big runs that would happen?
Yes, sir. We definitely put an emphasis on it. You know, we have been doing TPS. That's our thing that we break it out on. Takeaways, stop the run, and penalties, stop those. You know, and I feel like we definitely have a really good team. You know, and stuff like that. So,
yeah,
we're going to stop it for sure.
I think you guys have so much talent. Just got to put it together. You go against the offensive line. They're brand new as well, right?
Yeah.
What do you know about this offensive line?
I feel like the offensive line, I was literally talking to my teammate yesterday, I feel like the offensive line is really talented. You have a really lot of good guys, you know, Wilkin Formby, you know, Cohen Eccles, he's a really good guy that came from LSU, Tyree, and Blake Ivy has came so far too. I really love Blake and Mark Nabu. Like, it just, like, I feel like that room is really special too. And they give us a lot of great work. You know, we battle every day.
And can you tell how the backs look? I mean,
yeah, the backs are, you know, like you could just look at them yourself, like J-Mo, like Jamarian Murrow, like he's gonna be something special. Like, I was looking at the spring game, and like he doesn't look as big and Aggie as he does now. And like now with all the extra weight, he's big, and he runs through tacklers, he runs hard, and then Rube's gonna do what Rube does, you know. And KJ Edwards, he's really good too. So it's like. and Tiger and the rest of them are really good too. So it's like, dang, that's a deep back room that we really do have.
And when you think about it, you played with A-Chain first season, right?
Yeah. No, sir.
Oh, you missed A-Chain.
I
Okay.
missed A-Chain.
So A-Chain to what we got from Lev to what we're going to get from Ruben, J-Mo, and Amari was really big, and
yes,
EJ.
sir.
Like, there's been some really good backs here.
Yes, sir. It has. I feel like our back room is a really talented room. Like, I feel like our backs, our wide receivers, man, I'm just really excited for us to really put it all out there this year, to be honest.
And how do the linebackers look?
The linebackers look really good. Noah's doing a really good job. Ray's doing a really good job. Jordan Lockhart's doing a really good job. Man, I feel like that room is special too. Like, I can say that literally about any room that we have.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. First game not far away.
Yep.
So it sounds like you're on the right path, but there's still much work to do.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. There's always going to be work to do, no matter during the season or before the season, whatever it is. We always feel like we have to work and keep on going no matter how we feel that we're doing, So.
PJ, I appreciate your time, buddy. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir, no problem.
Told you guys would like it. Told you would like it. Did you like it? I like it. Did you pay attention?
Yes.
What was your favorite part?
The boxing part.
You were paying attention.
I think him talking about him actually boxing, I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. When it comes to your financial advice, independence matters, and Paragon Financial Advisors, they're independent. They're going to take care of you. They're Aggie-owned and operated, fee-only fiduciary firm. That means that their recommendations aren't influenced by commissions, proprietary products, or sales quotas. Whether you're managing family wealth or growing a successful business, their team helps clients make informed financial decisions with comprehensive planning and disciplined investment management. For many business owners, that means developing strategies to not only grow the business, but also prepare for one of the biggest financial events of their lives, the eventual sale or transition of that business. Visit paragon-adv.com to learn how independent advice can prepare you for what is next. It is Paragon Financial Advisors, Aggie-owned independent, serving clients nationwide. So somebody on the YouTube page says, check the Pete Thamel tweet. Oh, it must be about the injury to Trevor Gooseby. Is that what it is? Probably.
Probably. Let me double check.
Yeah, double check that. I know there was an update on that. It's not as severe as people thought it was initially. That's the University of Texas player, obviously. So not as severe.
Yeah, it's about Trevor Gooseby.
Okay. What does it say? What's the tweet say?
He's just reporting how the MRI came back, and it says Trevor Gooseby was diagnosed with a bone bruise, and his timetable for return will come together in the near future.
I'm just curious. Sorry for being, not trying to be conspiracy theorist. How do you get a bone bruise on a non-contact situation? Unless it happened earlier and it just after a while you're like, my knees, you know what I'm saying? Like my legs giving out. That part I find interesting. But we never want anybody to be injured. A&M has seen too many injuries over the years. So, but anyway, so there's that. Nick, what are you thinking to close out the show, buddy? I need more Nick on the show. You get the first segment and then you're gone.
Well, I had to. Cade got to talk earlier when I would have been sitting down, but I was fixing the stuttering camera that we were having on. But just looking at the AP poll, kind of, I guess that's the most pressing thing right now until we actually get some games played. I saw a lot of talk about A&M being the team that a lot of people are picking to finish outside of the top 25 during, at the end of the regular season. Like I saw, maybe it was just the algorithm feeding me that because they knew it would make me mad. But I saw at least 10 tweets about how A&M was ranked too highly. A&M's going to be one of the picks to finish outside of the top 25. And I don't see it. The steadiness under Elko, has me believing that won't be the case. They'll be a contender every single year, and I think that means they're in the top 25, whether it be the AP poll or the CFP poll, whenever that comes around mid-season. Some of those teams that stand out to me that might, be outside of the top 25 at the end of the season, I would say Washington, but that's also just because I don't know too much about them, right? They're up in Washington. We don't watch too much Washington Huskies football. If Matthew Dawson's listening right now, he's probably yelling at me. Penn State, for sure. Like I get that's like Iowa State now, right? Everyone just went over from Iowa State. But I got to see that at least. They got to build for me to believe in them just a little bit more. I feel like Iowa every year is ranked, and they just don't end up panning out. I hope Houston stays in the top 25. That's cool for Connor Wigman. We like to root for him. And then just looking at it, I mean,
USC.
USC is a hot pick.
I think they'll be fine. I'm looking at this and if we're talking about just top 10 teams, A&M and Oklahoma make sense. They make sense. I don't necessarily agree, but they make sense. I think Ole Miss should also make sense based on the changing of coordinators. But if we're talking about top 25, I mean, let's start at the bottom. Number 25, Missouri. It's just one spot to fall. That can happen.
Yeah,
one loss, they're done. Right. Tennessee is a team I think I was talked into them being better, but at 20 and the schedule that they have, absolutely they could fall. And hello, can somebody mention Alabama? People are down on Kalen DeBoer. If they go 8-4, which is certainly possible with that schedule, they're not going to be a top 25 team. Sorry.
Yeah, they got a brutal stretch. Number 3, Georgia, at number 20, Tennessee, number 8, Texas A&M. Open date, then they go to number 11, LSU. So that's a pretty brutal stretch for Bama.
All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Live here on a Tuesday. Tomorrow on the program, Jamie Morrison. The season starts very, very soon at the end of the week. And we'll talk to John Harris. And I am sure we will have some kind of witchcraft. That and more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you mañana.